Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It'll be Tim Boyle starting for the Jets Friday against the Dolphins. Zach Wilson, after another subpar performance, benched again. The Jets in this spot because they failed to give themselves options after Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. Amazon Prime NFL analyst Andrew Whitworth.
We said this after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Everyone politics for what quarterback it was they should trade for. Every quarterback that's out there that they might could sign and see them develop in case Zach Wilson isn't the answer. And every time it was met with, this is our guy, he's our future. It's one thing to say that. It's another as an organization to not be preparing for alternatives and saying, hey, what if he's not?
Andrew Whitworth on Carlin versus Joe. A blockbuster coming up on Monday Night Football. The NFC leading Eagles visit the AFC leading Chiefs, 8:15 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN+. Seahawks believe quarterback Geno Smith will be able to play against the 49ers Thursday despite an elbow injury. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis confirmed his season is over because of a lower left leg injury suffered against North Alabama on Saturday.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
All O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tumplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ton to do today. Another historic day for Jaden Daniels. We got Heisman odds. We got Peter Burns. Derek Carr still in the concussion protocol. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Contrary to popular belief, I can admit when I'm wrong. Some of y'all think that don't ever happen. It's just that I'm rarely ever wrong. Shut up. I'm kidding. But I was wrong about Jaden Daniels. No. I was not wrong about Jaden Daniels being the starter. Been telling y'all that for 2 years. All y'all Nussbus people. Respect to the Nussbus. Hope he's awesome next year. But y'all know where I stood on that. But I was wrong about Jaden Daniels' Heisman candidacy. When LSU lost to Alabama, T-Bob and I fired up whiskey and wine, and one of the first things that I did was I went and checked the DraftKings Sportsbook app to see what Daniels' odds were. And he was off the board. They literally did not have odds listed for him. So, said on the show, LSU, look, let's clear the deck. LSU's not going to win the national championship. They're not going to go to the playoff. They can't win the SEC, can't win the West. Daniels' Heisman odds are gone. Thought that was it. How could you overcome 3 losses? And then Jaden Daniels went out against Florida and did something we have literally never seen before in the history of college football, had never seen before in the history of college football, and that's throw for over 350 yards and run for over 200 yards in the same game. And just like that, Daniels' odds skyrocketed. After that game, he was up to 4th. And as the weekend went along and into next week, he was up to 2nd. Because everybody looked at the day he had against Florida and marveled at it. And a lot of the national narrative around Jaden Daniels started to grow. And then I was wrong about something else because I said, look, Jaden stated his case. He's had his biggest stage. You got Georgia State coming up, and then you're going to play Texas A&M at 11 in the morning opposite Michigan, Ohio State, when everybody's going to be watching that game. So Jayden's not going to have another stage. So really, the hay is in the barn as far as what Jayden can do. Now you just sit back and hope that Bo Nix falters. Yep. Was wrong there too. You see, I suppose when someone continues achieving supernatural feats, people will notice, regardless of what time of day the game is played or against whom the game is played. Y'all, Jaden Daniels, we have completely run out of adjectives. But after doing something against Florida that had literally never been done before in the history of college football, 350 passing, 200 rushing in the same game, his encore performance was to do something that had only been done once before in the history of the SEC, and that was only done by literally the greatest quarterback season we have ever seen in the history of this sport. That was Joe Burrow in 2019, and that is accounting for 8 touchdowns in a game. In the long storied history of the Southeastern Conference, there are now 2 players ever to account for 8 touchdowns in a game. Joe Burrow in the Peach Bowl against Oklahoma in 2019, and Jaden Daniels on Saturday night. 509 total yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. And as a result, Jaden Daniels is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. By the way, Jaden Daniels is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy after Bo Nix threw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's how incredible what Jaden Daniels did on Saturday night was. That the collective nation looked at Bo Nix going on the road in a conference game and throwing for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns and went, yeah, it's not really that impressive. Think about what I just said. DraftKings has Jaden minus 125. Caesars has Jaden minus 125. FanDuel has Jaden minus 125. Action Network has Jaden minus 127. Jaden Daniels is the consensus betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. And I want to be really clear. Bo Nix and Michael Penix are great college football players having fantastic seasons. Michael Penix led the Power 5 last year in passing yardage. He's leading the Power 5 right now in passing yardage. Bo Nix is just behind Jaden in touchdowns and on a 10-1 football team whose only loss was on the road against the aforementioned Michael Penix in Washington. And they're probably on a collision course for a rematch in the Pac-12 championship game. Those 2 guys are awesome. And in any year would be completely and utterly, totally worthy Heisman Trophy winners. They are worthy of consideration and discussion. And that's why there are people, a lot of voters, that are going to vote for them. It's not like this is a landslide right now that Jaden's running away, but he is distancing himself despite playing Georgia State. But when you're Bo Nix or Michael Penix, the unfortunate part for them this season is they just happen to be doing it in a season where you have a guy doing things never before seen or seldom ever seen, like the game he had against Florida, following it up with the 8 touchdowns against Georgia State. Do you realize that Jaden Daniels is now only the 2nd player in the history of the Southeastern Conference to throw for 3,500 yards in a season and rush for 1,000 yards in a season? The only other player ever to do that had a nickname, Johnny Football. And oh, by the way, he won the Heisman in that season. Do you remember what it was like watching Johnny Manziel in 2012? Do you remember? That's what it's like for other people watching Jaden Daniels right now. Like, he did what? He threw for how many? He ran for that? He did 8 touchdowns? That's what it's like for other people watching Jaden right now. It's why the choice has become really clear to most of the college football loving world. So here's what has to happen. You got 2 weeks left. 1 week in the regular season and championship Saturday. Jaden Daniels needs to hit his averages against Texas A&M. He needs to throw for 300 yards and run for 100 yards. He's got to basically put up his averages. If Jaden Daniels does that, he has stated his case in the most emphatic way possible. Now, LSU's got to win that game as well. You can forgive a 3-loss quarterback. We've seen that. And you know the list: Tim Tebow, RG3, Lamar Jackson. We've seen it. What we haven't seen is the 4-loss quarterback. So you got to go win Saturday. And Jaden has to stat compile, which I have no doubt he'll do because it's what he's literally done every game the entire season. There's no defense that's able to completely shut him down. So Jaden will get his, and hopefully LSU wins the game. That's one box you have to check for him to win the Heisman Trophy. The other is you do need Bo Nix to turn into Bad Bo from the Auburn days, at least once in the next 2 weeks. Because here's the bugaboo for Jaden Daniels. If Bo Nix goes off against Oregon State in the Civil War this week, and then next week, when Jaden Daniels is sitting at home and Bo Nix goes off against Washington in the Pac-12 championship game and leads his team to that title, he will very likely flip those odds. Now, we saw Oregon State on Saturday handcuff Michael Penix, who leads the nation in passing. Oregon State held Michael Penix to 13 of 28 for $162, 2 touchdowns. So Oregon State is totally capable. Now, that was in the rain at Reser Stadium. This is going to be at Autzen Stadium. But Oregon State's capable. Jaden Daniels has to go off, and you got to hope that Bo Nix slips a bit one of the next 2 weeks. If Nix goes off against Oregon State and then avenges the loss against Washington, the odds likely flip back in his favor. But then again, I've been wrong before about the Heisman and Jaden's odds. Not about Jaden Daniels. I've been telling you all that for 2 years. All right. It's After Further Review. Show open every day is brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Big shout out to our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light. They keep stepping up with awesome giveaways for us. They consistently gave us tickets to the College World Series for LSU's run. They gave us those awesome seats for the Garth Brooks concert, sweet tickets for the Garth Brooks concert at the Superdome. They gave us tickets to LSU Bama to give away a few weeks ago. And now our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light are ponying up for the Saints-Lions game in the Dome on December the 3rd. 4 tickets to the game and 4 pregame field passes. Yo. By the way, the 4 tickets are to the Bud Light Fan Zone. So you're getting the 4 tickets to the game, the Bud Light Fan Zone, and 4 pregame field passes. No purchase necessary to enter. All you got to do is text WHODAT, W-H-O-D-A-T. Just text WHODAT, one word, to our show text line, 225-396-4400, 225-396-4400. We'll pick the Friday before the game. Good luck from our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Okay, sometimes the events around a game are far more interesting than the game itself, and that's certainly the case with Jaden Daniels today. I had to lead with Jaden. I'll talk a little bit about the game itself, some of the takeaways, and some of the people we didn't see in the game. Brian Kelly updated their status. We'll get to that. We'll not get a break. Come back. Also, Derek Carr still in the concussion protocol. His status for Sunday's game in Atlanta against the Falcons is up in the air. We'll get to that as well. We're glad you're with us. It's a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Don't you move.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty.
Darren did an amazing job selling our home. He kept us informed every step of the way. He is extremely knowledgeable and helpful anytime we had a question. The advertising he does for your home is over and above, like daily radio ads. They kept us constantly updated on the closing, so we had no surprises. We knew we were in good hands, and Darren and his company had our back while trying to sell our house. Customers for life. That's a 5-star review from Teresa Zito. Yours could be next. Call Darren James, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. If you are trying to sell your home, you can trust the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. Trust Darren James. Call him today. This is his cell, 335-7666, 335-7666, or online at agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Boards marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Daniels, play action, throws, catch made by Neighbors at the 5, and he will carry a Panther into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
I mean, without them, I wouldn't be able to do nothing like this. You know, for them to catch the ball and be explosive after the catch. You know, that's something that too many people don't have in the country. So, just a relationship and the bond that we have on and off the field. You know, it just translates to Saturdays.
Chris Blair on the call, LSU Sports Radio Network. That was Malik Neighbors' first touchdown of the night. And, of course, Jaden Daniels after the game talking about this incredible group of wide receivers. In case if you missed it today, both Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. have been named semifinalists for the Biletnikoff Award. That should really come as no surprise as Malik Neighbors continues to lead the nation in receiving yardage, and Brian Thomas Jr. continues to lead the nation in receiving touchdowns. I mean, these two, it's the superlatives are incredible, and I know we keep saying the same thing, but it's like when you start comparing these two to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in the season they had as a tandem in 2019 and realize that Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors are actually outpacing them through 11 games. I mean, just say that out loud. I mean, I'm the guy who sat here and said, like, we're never going to see another. People ask, so could he be the next Burrow? No, and I've always said no. Understand, you got to watch the greatest offense in the history of college football, and you're never going to see it again. And here we are 4 years later, and you're seeing players on this offense outpacing in certain aspects what that team did. It's just, of course, that team had a number 3 in Terrace Marshall, who was a 5-star, but Kyron Lacey on this team as a number 3 has just been spectacular. Boy, they're just they're loaded. And not only was Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, not only were they on Monday announced as semifinalists for the Blitnikoff, Mike Denbrock was also announced as a semifinalist for the Broyles Award, given the nation's top assistant coach. We've seen a couple of LSU assistants in the past win this. John Chavis won it back in 2011, and of course Joe Brady won it in 2019. And I'm going to stump for this, as I know this is less appealing, I think, than obviously than the player awards, as everyone's focused primarily on the Heisman Trophy and then Malik with the Blitnikoff. But Mike Denbrock is worthy. When you look at the transformation that LSU's offense has gone through from 2021 into last year and then through this year, Denbrock is the one who is, and Brian Kelly talked about it last week, it's a collective effort of all the coaching staff, but that's the guy calling the plays, scheming on game day, dialing up the right plays, and he deserves a tremendous amount of credit. The same way that Steve Ensminger deserved credit in 2019, but because you have a couple of understated coaches that aren't screaming for the spotlight, they often don't get it. So whether they may not want it, I'm going to push. Just like I pushed Steve Ensminger into the spotlight in 2019, I'm going to do the same for Mike Denbrock because he deserves the credit and the accolades. He deserves to win the Broyles Award as well. So some of those national award lists are coming out and being updated. So we'll let you know as the finalists are announced and ultimately how it goes with the College Football Award Show coming up here in a couple of weeks. All right, it's after further review. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. Relief Windows, they do it all. You can always check out the showroom right there on Airline Highway in Prairieville, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. So let me just go through some of my notes from the game itself on Saturday, whereas I understand you're LSU, you go beat Georgia State 56-14, and there's not going to be a ton to say about the game as a whole. But a couple of things that actually really went LSU's way. It was interesting that Georgia State elected to receive the kickoff because what their objective was that Georgia State won the toss and were like, we want the ball. And their thought was, let's go score because we can score on that defense, and then let's muddy up the game and slow it down. And they really did a great job of that for the bulk of the first half. They got the ball, went right down the field and scored. LSU got the ball, got the equalizer. LSU actually got a stop and returned a punt. Javen Nicholas returned a punt 27 yards. So LSU had basically half a field, and they embarked on a 9-play, 53-yard drive that took up 4 minutes, and this was nasty. You had a holding penalty on the first play. You had a penalty flag for an ineligible man downfield that was reviewed and ultimately picked up. You had Mason Taylor drop a screen pass. Jaden Daniels, in one of his only bad throws of the night, overthrew Aaron Anderson in the end zone. Mason Taylor caught a ball on 3rd and 10, fumbled it, but was fortunate enough to get on it for the first down. Then you had another review on the neighbor's screen for 12 yards where they had an eligible man downfield on Taylor that they ultimately picked up the flag. On the next play was when Brian Thomas fumbled, and after that, it was 2nd and goal from the 14, and Jaden was like, you know what? I'll just take care of it. He ran it in. By the way, go back and watch the Brian Thomas fumble. They were going to throw a pass to Jaden Daniels. Go back and watch the play. Brian Thomas was on the right side. Malik Neighbors was on the left. Thomas was coming in motion behind Daniels. Daniels hands to Thomas. Thomas was going to hand to Neighbors because if you go watch it, Jaden had emptied out to the right side. He was running a route. So they were going to try to get Malik Neighbors throwing a touchdown pass to Jaden Daniels, so then Jaden would have rushing, passing, and receiving touchdowns. But Brian Thomas couldn't hold on to it, and then Jaden just ran it in on the next play. They were trying. They pulled out clearly all the stops there for Jaden. So look, LSU was up, and then, man, you give up another touchdown, and you're in a tie ball game into the second quarter. And by the way, you had 2 possessions in the first quarter and only 2 possessions. You had 1 possession deep into the second quarter when Kyron Lacey scored, so you're up 21-14. You get the ball. There's 2:36 to play in the first half. This is how good Georgia State executed their game plan. 2:36 to play in the first half. LSU had the ball 3 times. 3 times. And then they threw a 70-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas on the first play. I mean, that's just what this offense is, man. Tigers got a stop and score again before the end of the first half to go up 35-14. That was pretty much all she wrote. Mac Markway got a touchdown pass, his first touchdown reception of his career on the first possession of the third quarter. Tigers would pile on a bit there. One thing that I know has been brought up a bit that that people have thought it's been a bit contentious was Jayden continuing to play. Now, when they scored on the second possession of the second half, by the way, LSU only had 3 possessions in the second half total. Like it was incredible. You had 8 possessions in the entire ballgame, and you scored on them all, and then you ran out the clock on the final one. But it's pretty incredible how Georgia State actually did a good job of executing what they wanted to, but LSU's defense started to get stops. But I know when LSU went up 49-14, the thought really was at that point, okay, Jayden's night is over, and they put him back in to stat pad. And I want to be very, very clear about this. I am totally 1,000,000% okay with sending Jayden back out there to stat pad. And I'll explain. Let me give you an example from a different sport to help paint this picture. Do you remember the name Armando Galarraga? Some of you will. That's probably lost on a lot of you, but when I tell you the story, you'll remember it. Back in 2010, Armando Galarraga, who was he pitched in the big leagues, but was just an okay pitcher. Never really became a consistent piece of any rotation, but in 2010, Armando Galarraga threw what should have been Major League Baseball's 21st perfect game. He had recorded 26 outs, and then with 2 outs in the ninth, he induces a ground ball, he runs to cover first base, and Jim Joyce, who was the first base umpire, missed the call at first. He ruled the runner safe. There was no review at the time in Major League Baseball. And so Galarraga lost the perfect game on a blown call by Jim Joyce. As I say that, a lot of you probably remember the story now. But you don't remember Armando Galarraga. And history will not remember Armando Galarraga because Armando Galarraga did not throw a perfect game. He should have been the 21st player in the history of the game of baseball to throw a perfect game. That's immortality. And it was lost because Jim Joyce missed a call. Now, baseball should have done the right thing and retroactively gone and awarded him the perfect game, but whatever. My point is, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when we're all dead and gone, Heisman Trophy winners are immortal. As they say every year when they award the trophy, the winner will forever be known as Heisman Trophy winner. And that's true. Opening doors and opportunities literally for the rest of your life and for all time. The Heisman Trophy is the most famous individual award in sports. And when you are a Heisman Trophy winner, that is forever. And if I go back and look at Troy Smith's stats in 2006, he won it over Darren McFadden that year. Do I know what Troy Smith did in the non-conference games? No, don't really care. You want to go back and look at the late Rashaan Salam in 1994? Probably not. Or we pouring over stats from Herschel Walker when he won the Heisman? Nah. All we know is he won the Heisman. And that's all history is going to remember as well. Most of America was not watching LSU and Georgia State. Let's just be real. I mean, you had Washington, Oregon State going on. You had a really competitive ending with Florida and Missouri, which was interesting. There was a lot going on. The nation wasn't watching this game. So most of the college football loving world saw highlights and the final stat line. Wait, Daniels did what? The collective world, as close as we are in the bubble, wasn't paying attention to that game. And in the future, no one's going to look back and say, yeah, well, buddy got some stats late in the game against Georgia State. They're just going to know that Jaden Daniels did something that only in the SEC, in the history of the SEC, that Johnny Manziel has done. He's thrown for 3,500 yards and run for 1,000. No one's going to mention anything about the late touchdown pass to Malik Neighbors against Georgia State. So if you have an opportunity to build that case, damn it, go build it. Because the worst thing that could possibly happen, the worst thing with respect to this whole conversation, is you're sitting there on that second Saturday in December, and Bo Nix wins the Heisman, and if you're Brian Kelly or Jaden Daniels, you think, man, we could have done more. That's why LSU needs to be a propaganda machine. Cody Worsham and all of the LSU Twitter accounts and everything, yes, keep fire hosing everything you got to tell your story. Tell this kid's story of why he deserves it. Not only for him, of course, for him because he's worthy, and you have to influence the people that are going to vote, but it's immortality for him, but it's also payoff for the LSU program. To have another quarterback win the Heisman Trophy. My God, you could sell that in recruiting. When recruits come in and you can say, we got 2 quarterbacks win the Heisman since 2019. You don't think Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley was selling that when he had back-to-back winners with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray? And he had Jalen Hurts as a finalist? And then Caleb Williams wins it? Like, you don't think he's selling that? Of course he is. This is an opportunity for Brian Kelly to sell it too. Hey, come to LSU. Look at the receivers you're going to play with. You can win a Heisman Trophy. It's not made up. It's not, hey, come try to be a Heisman Trophy winner. LSU hasn't had a Heisman Trophy winner in 60 years. Come try to win one. Joe Burrow checked that box. And now if Jaden Daniels does it again, that's an incredible feather in the cap that LSU can use in recruiting. So, yes, my God, if you have the opportunity Saturday against Texas A&M, if you're up 35, keep running him out there. Because, like, saving Jaden Daniels for the ReliaQuest Bowl ain't a thing. And if Jaden's okay running out there for another series, then put him out there for another series. Why not at this point? Build the most compelling case you can build. It's your last opportunity on Saturday. So go make the most of it. Run it up. What did old boy from Mighty Ducks say? It's not worth winning if you can't win big. Let's run it up, man. Let's go. Be really fun to do it against the Aggies, too. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a break, come back, go around the SEC. We are going to get some Saints talk. Dennis Allen met with reporters earlier today. Derek Carr still in the concussion protocol. Sounds like Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore are going to be out for a while as well. Dennis Allen said both are expected to miss some time. No word as to whether or not they're going to go to IR, which would mandate they miss 4 weeks, minimum 4 weeks. But it sounds like they are going to miss the game Sunday against Atlanta. And we'll get the absolute latest, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we move along. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. You know where to find them with 18 locations across South Louisiana. Shawbills, they're just the best. Y'all, Thursday is Thanksgiving. Actually, Erica told me today. She said, hey, the brakes on my car are squeaking. We got to get this taken care of. I said, no worries. I'll bring it to Shawbills. So I'm scheduled to bring it over to Shawbills. We always go to the one right there on Burbank. But find the location nearest you. You can schedule online. They always take great care of you. They treat you like family, and they'll sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. It's Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, we'll go around the SEC when we come back, and I do also, regrettably, want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Jordan Travis injury, which is, I'm not sure that my sentiment is any different than anybody else's. It's devastating. It's awful for the kid. But there's something else that came out of that I do want to talk about, and we'll do that when we come back, and we'll go around the SEC. Stay here.
AFR.
Glow Resources, complete employer solutions. If you're a business owner, and man, the job hiring market rat race is just driving you crazy. It's so hard to find qualified employees that will stay, that will get it right, that'll do it right the first time. And you got to trust our friends over at Glow Resources. Jareth Knockan and his team are just awesome. Go to glowresources.com, GLO, start there, glowresources.com. Remember, it's not just Baton Rouge. Yes, their corporate office based here in Baton Rouge, but New Orleans, Houston, Miami, Dallas, all over the place. Glow Resources and glowresources.com. At Glow, this is not a temp staffing agency. As a matter of fact, they don't want you, the employee, contacting them. They'll find you. Who they want to talk to is the employer and how they can make your hiring process easier, how they can find the most qualified candidate for you, and they guarantee it. It's Glow Resources. Visit them online at glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions, glowresources.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Well, if you're watching football on Saturday, you saw the injury to Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis, which was just devastating. I mean, we all saw it. It was a hip tackle, and it broke his leg, and there was dislocation. It was all pointing in the wrong direction. It was ugly, and you knew immediately that his season was done and his career is done. Jordan Travis did make that official, announcing on social media that his playing career at Florida State is over. He said the journey this team set out on is not over yet, as all of our goals still lie just ahead. I'm excited to be on my brother's side every day as we continue our attack. So we'll see what this means for Florida State moving forward. It's unfortunate they dropped in the rankings from 4th to 5th after their win, but Jordan Travis's injury, of course, was part of that. After the game on Saturday, Florida State head coach Mike Norvell was obviously emotional about the injury.
You have such a long history with that kid, and he's done so much for your offense and your program in general. What were your emotions now, and what were they at the moment?
No,
and how did you block it out after a minute?
Don't. I mean, I like to say you block out, you don't. I mean, you know, coming in, we knew this was Jordan Travis's last game at Doe Campbell Stadium. I wanted to see him, have a special game, special experience, and for any time somebody gets hurt, I don't, it hurt. I mean, it's painful to to see. It's painful to have to go through. And I mean, you just want so bad for that kid, like, because he does everything right. He really is just a special young man. And it was, I can't say that I did block it out. It was, you go and you coach and you do everything, just like I said earlier, for the players that are, that are out there on the field. Well, I owe it to them too. But it doesn't lessen anything of the impact of when you have any player that goes down. I mean, it's hard because this is a game that these guys they put so much into. And
that was Mike Norvell, Florida State's head coach. Look, I mean, I think my reaction was the same as everybody's. It just sucks for that kid, and the old adage that life ain't fair. That's evidence of it. I mean, you got this kid who came back for his final season of college football, was having a great season. His team's undefeated. They're on the cusp of the college football playoff and winning a conference championship and sort of reemergence of Florida State to the national scene. And for that to happen against that opponent in that type of game and setting with so much on the line, we all think the same thing. It sucks. It really sucks. And I don't think Florida State should be penalized. If they win the ACC championship and go undefeated, they should 100% be in the playoff. But one of the things that I saw, and I'm not surprised considering the nature of this kid, but Colin Hurley, who is LSU's quarterback commit, tweeted something after the Jordan Travis injury, and it's something I hadn't considered, but he's a very smart and thoughtful kid, and what he tweeted, I think, should be considered by the NCAA. Colin Hurley noted prayers for Jordan Travis. He said it's time for the NCAA to, A, ban hip drop tackling, B, enforce targeting with consistency. He says this isn't about being tough or football getting soft. It's about player safety, applying rules, and advancing the game. It's a very super thoughtful response by that kid. And in the same way that we've banned horse collar tackling because it's a dangerous play. If you're running behind someone and you pull their horse collar, you're more likely to suffer a leg injury, a lower leg injury, because of the way you're bending a player. The same thing with hip drop tackling, which is what you saw the kid from, was it North Alabama? Is that who they were playing? North Alabama. And it's just where you get on the hip and you hold on and you fall down. Well, that's when you see awkward leg breaks and knee injuries, because you're just on someone's hip and you just drop to the ground and you ain't meant to bend sideways like that. So I completely agree with Colin Hurley. I mean, if you're Jordan Travis, you'd much rather that kid, just go down and grab you at the knees and get you that way than hip drop the way that he did. I mean, it cost him the rest of his season. It's altered the postseason landscape of college football. So, really very thoughtful post by Colin Hurley, and something I hope the NCAA does consider, because that's a play that they should eliminate from football. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. You've heard about semaglutide, once-a-week injection for weight loss. If you're interested in it, they have it at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Inquire today. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Always tell you, go get your labs drawn. I've been on HRT for a while, and for years now. And every 6 months I do my blood labs. We did my blood draw on Friday, so next week I'll go for my lab review. We'll go over all my numbers to make sure I'm still looking good, trending good. It's at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online, theantiagingclinics.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas AD Hunter Yurachek announced Sunday that the program is sticking with Sam Pittman as the head coach for 2024. Arkansas beat FIU Saturday to improve to 4-7. Pittman 23-24 over 4 seasons with the Razorbacks. There was a report earlier this week that Arkansas will overhaul its staff outside of Pittman, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vanderbilt Athletic Director Candace Lee giving the vote of confidence to Clark Lee to return for 2024. She told the Tennessean, quote, "Yes, I expect Clark Lee to be back next season. Vanderbilt is 2-9, 0-7 in the SEC.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Starting right guard Javontes Spraggins is out for the remainder of the season after suffering an apparent leg injury in the loss to number 1 Georgia. Spraggins has played in 44 games with 37 starts. He does have a year of eligibility remaining due to the COVID year. Tennessee plays Vanderbilt on Saturday at Neyland.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
And Carolina's football team emerged from the game against Kentucky pretty healthy. Shane Beamer reported there were no new injuries to speak of after the game on Sunday night. Gamecocks are 5-6, 3-5 in the conference. If they're going to get to bowl eligibility, they got to beat Clemson at home this weekend. Defensive lineman Jadius Gear did not play in the fourth quarter after being poked in the eye. There's 3 offensive linemen and running back to Carryon Joyner who might return this week for the Clemson game. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Raging Cajuns, and the Baton Rouge Zydeco. Great supporters of the home team, Gulf Coast Office Products. Okay, y'all, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1. Every Thursday, Muse, Paulie, and I tell you 3 things we're watching for the football weekend. We come back and recap how they went. We'll do that when we come back to wrap up hour 1 next on AFR.
AFR.
Christmas trees! Oh, it is time to get by Clegg's Nursery. Not only do they have all of your Christmas decor, at Clegg's they now have your Christmas trees as well. Trees started getting there late last week. They're on the lot at all 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. So you want the 4-foot tree, the 6-foot tree, or a big monstrous 8 or 10-foot tree, they got you covered, and they got an amazing selection over at Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations: Sigan Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Y'all, I also want to remind you that this weekend is the Poinsettia Open House over at Clegg's Nursery. So make sure you get on by. You will see so many poinsettias. I mean, it is coming up at the, the Greenwell Springs location this Sunday, 10 to 2. Pictures with Santa. It's going to be awesome. Over 10,000 poinsettias. Get by Clegg's Nursery.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Running Bart's marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. Every week, Muse, Paulie, and I tell you 3 things we're watching on the football weekend. We come back here on Monday. We tell you how they went. So let's do it. Hit it, Muse.
We watched. Now let's review.
All right, I'll start it off. I was right about USC. They were done winning after that escape they had against Cal. And look, the defense is one thing for SC. It was horrible all year. Caleb Williams did his thing yesterday, but the rest of the offense, or excuse me, not yesterday, on Saturday. The rest of the offense just wasn't good. 3 turnovers. In total, they were -3. And UCLA really had their way with them all day long on the road. It just, after that Cal game, or really going into that Cal game, it didn't feel like USC had much left in the tank, and it kind of showed in that performance. And ultimately, they're 17-5. That's really disappointing.
I was watching Jaden Daniels' competition for the Heisman. I was watching Washington against Oregon State and Michael Penix. Washington survived a close one against Oregon State. They clinched a berth in the Pac-12 championship game. This one was a wet one, so not much offense. Penix only threw for 162 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 22 yards and another touchdown. Penix is currently 3rd for the Heisman race behind Daniels and Bo Nix with 3,695 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions.
Keeping an eye on Detroit, Chicago for a couple of reasons. It was the return of Justin Fields, but also with a win, the Bears would be 8-2, which would match their best start through 10 games since 1962. And the Bears did what bad teams do. They blew a 2-score lead late in that ball game and allowed the Lions to rally and win it 31-26. So Chicago still stinks. Congrats to the Lions. Best 10-game start since 1962.
Watching the top of the NFC West, set up for a battle this Thursday. Of course, the Seahawks blew a lead against the Rams. Injury to Geno Smith triceps. Pete Carroll says he should play Thursday. So they're a game behind the 49ers, who beat the Bucs by 13. They can pull even. They beat the Niners at home on Thanksgiving night.
I was watching Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the Browns, trying to see if they could stay afloat in the AFC wildcard race. The Browns defense did come up with some big stops when needed. DTR would lead the Browns on a game-winning field goal drive with a Dustin Hopkins game winner. They're 7-3 and only 1 game behind the Ravens in the AFC North.
It was Joe Brady's debut as the Bills OC, and Buffalo gets a 32-6 win over the Jets. The Jets turned it over 4 times and are complete and total abject disaster. But Josh Allen, 20 of 32 for 275, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's more important, is that the Bills protected the football, which has been a problem all year. But a nice debut there for Joe Brady as the Bills put up 393 yards of offense and 32 points.
The battle for bowl eligibility, Nebraska and Wisconsin went to Wisconsin. They are now 6-5. Tanner Mordecai, pretty nice day and another return.
It was a hell of a rally, too.
Braylon Alley was a hell of a rally.
They were down 14-0 early.
After 1, yeah. And took a 17-14 lead into the fourth quarter. It ultimately goes to overtime, but they win it. How about Nebraska? They were on their 3rd quarterback of the season in that game. Man, you want them to get to bowl eligibility, but 5-6, still pretty good. They face Iowa this weekend.
I was watching the Texans and C.J. Stroud. He threw for 336 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So not the best day for Stroud. Tank Dell had himself a day, though. He was a nice young stud for the Texans coming up.
And finally, Tennessee and Georgia, really only because Tennessee hadn't beaten a number one team since 1985. So anytime you get a swing at the top-ranked team, it's interesting if you can make some history, and they did not. Georgia rolls, and Georgia looking pretty good right now. All right, there you have it. That's what we learned from this past weekend. We will get to our college football takeaways in hour number 3. Peter Burns coming up here right after the top of the hour, about 6 minutes from right now. After further review, as always, brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. Michelli.com with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, and rent the products that you use to weigh and measure. Remember, they have ISO 17025 accreditation, and they are hiring. So if you're looking for a job, especially if you are a serviceman or woman, retired or still active duty, looking to transition into the civilian life, Michelli can help. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Hit the careers tab at the top, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. I do want to talk about this. You can always text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. I got a question from Greg Lehman about Bo Nix and Michael Penix potentially splitting West Coast votes for the Heisman. I'm going to get to that. There's a lot of that Heisman bias I want to talk about. We'll get there, but Peter Burns is next.
AFR.
All right, we are putting a button on hour number 1, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Mentioned a week ago today, I was over at the Williamson Eye Center. Dr. Blake had a great event over there. Their Bubbles Bourbon and Best Vision Ever had a great crowd, came out to learn more about refractive procedures. And the thing that I would encourage you most is if you've ever thought about a refractive procedure, maybe it's LASIK, maybe it's PRK, maybe it's that lens replacement. Remember, they've got EVO ICL, which is a new procedure. Well, it's not really a new procedure, but it's becoming more in vogue. It's been around for more than 20 years. But it's an alternative to LASIK, which is reversible. They implant a contact lens into your eye, and then they can obviously reverse that later. But point is, don't do what I did. Don't put off refractive surgery for a decade or longer when you're a great candidate. Don't continue to fumble for your glasses and your contacts. Schedule that consultation with the Williamson Eye Center today. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Jets, whose offense has been stuck in neutral most of this NFL season, have benched quarterback Zach Wilson. He'll be replaced by Tim Boyle Friday against the Dolphins. Trevor Siemian will back up Boyle. Not a bad way for Week 11 to finish up. Chiefs-Eagles, Monday Night Football. Each team first in its respective conference, boasts one of the league's top offenses, and is led by an elite quarterback. And to that end, tonight, Patrick Mahomes will outperform Jalen Hurts, believes unsportsmanlike co-host Chris Canty.
Pat Mahomes gets to throw against that Eagles secondary. And I know he'll find a way to buy time against that pass rush that Philly's facing. So I'm going to say Pat Mahomes, although I'm not going to say it in my chest. He'll find a way to have more productivity in the passing game. They've had a bye week. Those young receivers, as we move into, December kind of football, this is the time where those guys have got to step up.
Chris Canty. Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN+. Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Chase Utley headline the list of newcomers to the 2024 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. Results announced January 23rd, 2024.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Joined every single Monday, as we are at the top of Hour 2 during the college football season, by our buddy Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Nope. Okay. Peter, how are you, man?
Wait a minute. I don't get the shoe drop. What kind of situation are we running here over here? This is a little bush league. Let's start it over. Let's try it one more time.
I wish we could.
No.
But Muso's doing the thing where he gets really pissed off at the computer and throws his hands in the air, and it's better just to move on. It's
like a 286 Tandy. I understand it. I get it with the the CGA video card. Come on, tell Gordy to get on top of that. By the way, did Muso go on his Barbie trip yet? The New Orleans deal?
Oh, it's Sunday. We picked the winner. Let me rephrase. He picked the winner on Friday because he threw a fit when I said I was going to do it, just like he's throwing a fit right now at the computer. I'm lashing out at some use. My apologies. So are you excited about your date?
I am excited about the date. Yes, I am. A lot, actually.
Okay. How about that, PB? Hey, if he marries this girl, do I get bragging rights forever?
I think it depends on how long the relationship works. Like if this is like if it gets past like an annulment stage, yeah, I mean I think that's fair at some point. But then also, if you're going to take credit for it, you need to be on the hook if they end up getting divorced, and you'll pay half of the divorce attorney. So how about that?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
see,
you just want the credit,
your
right?
Decisions,
you want the credit.
well,
not
but
the blame.
see, it's not on me how you behave once you are wed, right? I mean, I just facilitated the meeting. That's all. It's your fault if you can't stay in a relationship and you for whatever reason that marriage is dissolved for a lot of different reasons, whatever. I shouldn't be held.
You're like a coaching search committee, right? Like, I mean, like you'll take the fee, you'll get all the credit if it works out, but if not, you'll just be like, listen, I mean, we hired Jimbo Fisher at A&M, and we helped you with that. It's not my fault it didn't work out. I see what's that.
Well, I would also say that it's not the search committee that hired Jimbo. I would say more so it's the athletic director that gave him a $96 million guaranteed extension after a COVID year that was basically bogus, which illustrates how desperate they are for anything good.
You said it, not me. As the anchor of the SEC Network, I enjoy all 14 schools equally, and we'll add 2 to that coming up next year, and I hope they all go undefeated and win every single national championship.
The Jaden Daniels Heisman stuff. Is this becoming, I'll ask you from a regional than a national perspective, is this becoming just the southeastern corner of the state just stumping for Jaden and screaming at everybody else how dumb they are if they don't vote for him?
Yeah, it's a little Tupac Biggie, right? Like it's a which side are you on, right? I mean, but the problem is when you start looking at the numbers that Jaden has put up, then you start talking about the strength of schedule. Now, granted, Bo Nix, who I think is the only other front runner with Jaden, has an opportunity because their strength of schedule is going to get better facing Oregon State. And if they win that game, he'll have the Pac-12 championship. But the thing that I can't get over on this is the fact of if you look at how Oregon runs their offense, it's a lot of kind of dink and dunk. And like I started going through the numbers today, and it's 33 or 32% of Bo Nix's pass are either at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, right? So that, there's a lot of just kind of flare patterns, little dink and dunks here that, hey, there's a lot of yak. You go back and look, and that's not the case. I think only 16% of Jaden's yards have come from, kind of these shorter length passes. I mean, he's airing the ball out, and it's working, and he's doing it with his legs as well, too. And I take it one step further. You take Bo Nix off of a very good Oregon team, I'm not quite sure how much their record changes. If you take Jaden Daniels off this team, and I love Garrett Nussmeier, but we're looking at a 7-5, maybe 6-16 with how bad this defense is.
Yeah, no, you definitely lose the Arkansas game, and you lose the Missouri game. That's
2 right off the bat.
That's a given there, and we'll see what happens on Saturday against A&M. If you had to pick it, do you think Jaden wins it, or do you think that he's runner-up to Bo Nix?
I think he wins. And the reason why is because just because that Bo Nix will have an opportunity against Oregon State and possibly a Pac-12 championship doesn't mean that he's going to play extremely well in these games, right? I mean, as much as it is 2 opportunities to shine, it's also 2 opportunities for somebody to kind of stop him and also realize what Jaden Daniels did. And I just look at this and I go, I think there's going to be some juice in Tiger Stadium. I know it's an 11 a.m. kickoff, but there better be. Between the idea of binging, the gut punch last year of that game and the fact that it's going to be Jaden's last opportunity that you get a chance to see him, like it was ripping when it was Burrow's last game. I expect and I hope Tiger fans are sitting there going, hey, payback's going to be hell, and we're about to throw 6 touchdowns on you.
Yeah, that the Burrow senior night game, I mean, that was a night game, and it was after the 7 overtime, and LSU was undefeated, number 1 in the country. It was for all those reasons, it's not gonna have that juice. But you're right, there should be a lot of juice in Tiger Stadium at 11 a.m. Hey, Peter Burns is with us, courtesy of Blue Delta Jeans. Yeah, I'm going to ask you what feels like an obvious question, but can Georgia be stopped at this point?
I don't think they can. I mean, the only team that I think that fits well against them is Alabama because of the mobile quarterback situation. I mean, you go back and look at Peyton Thorne and some of the zone read stuff they did in that Auburn-Georgia game. That works. Even Brady Cook being able to move the pocket. But, I mean, Georgia is this – I mean, they keep collecting these infinity stones. I mean, I joked around on my show, and I don't feel like it's wrong to say I'm not picking against Georgia until they lose a game. Like, it doesn't matter. Sure. If it's Michigan and Ohio State, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm picking Georgia until they prove that they can't handle the moment because they're like this sniper right now to where the heartbeat never raises. And they get punched right in the mouth against, I mean, you got Dolly Parton, you got Peyton Manning. The crowd is going crazy. They're bringing out all the stops, and they didn't even check the nose to see if it was bloody. I mean, that's some serial killer stuff. Like, they're going to write, like, Netflix documentaries on this Georgia team right now.
The Dolly Parton thing was so bizarre. It was like, that's the thing that's like, That's the thing that's going to get people geeked. That's a thing that in Tennessee they were.
Listen, hey, it's only stupid if it doesn't work, right? I mean, like, listen, you will catch me saying a lot of dumb things on television, radio. Me absolutely ripping Dolly Parton is not one of those things I ever want on my tombstone.
To be
I
clear,
really feel like when you get to the pearly gates, God's going to be like, let's check your Dolly Parton folder, and they're like, you respected her, it didn't respect her. I know which side I'm going to land.
Respect to Dolly Parton. This isn't a disrespect of Dolly Parton. It's a is Dolly Parton singing Rocky Top the thing that's going to get you amped? Like who's the old boy that sang Louisiana Saturday Night? Whoever
Mel
that,
McDaniel?
Like, that guy. Is he alive? I don't know. Probably not. But if I just killed him, my apologies. If they brought him out to Tiger Stadium to sing Louisiana Saturday Night, I'd boo him off the stage. Like, get that guy out of here. I don't want to hear about rousing up your bows and one-eyed dogs and stuff like that. Can we just go play a game? Like, maybe that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I could be on an island by myself. It's happened before.
I mean, listen, when you haven't won a national championship in 20-some-odd years, buddy, you're looking for any opportunity you can. And they need it because I think Georgia is that flipping good right now. And here's a scenario that I don't think anybody's talked about, and I'm very curious about it real quick, is what if Alabama, who's playing really good football, finds a way to win 28-27, Will Reichert hits a last-second field goal, okay? So how are you going to look at Georgia, who's going to have a lot more ranked wins than Texas? And the only loss all season long is going to be an Alabama team that's going to be ranked 4 or 5 at that point on a neutral site. How are you going to drop them all the way from number 1 to number 5 or 6? I don't see how that happens.
You'd have to have 4 unbeaten conference champions, and I don't think I'm with you. Like I don't think that's a scenario we're going to see. But you know what else kind of ticks me off, PB, is the Missouri-Florida thing. Like, had Florida beaten Missouri, there was an outside chance that LSU could have snuck into a New Year's Six like they did in 2018. So did Florida blow it or did Missouri win it?
I mean, Missouri won that game. I mean, 4th and 17, you still got to make a play. And Luther Burden he's so damn good. And that's a situation where there was a lot of people saying, oh, is Drink on the hot seat? And I was like, no. Like, you got to give him time. And sure enough, it worked out pretty well. I am disappointed, though, that we're not going to see Jordan Travis. I mean, as much as I didn't like him, how he just ate up LSU the last 2 years, is the class act kid, and I'm kind of gutted that we don't get a chance to see him. I wanted Florida State at full strength when Florida beat them in the swamp and ruined the ACC's championship chances. But now you start taking a look at, you're going to have backup quarterback versus backup quarterback because Mertz is done for the season as well.
Hey, all right. Look at this week, rivalry weekend. There's an upset somewhere on the SEC slate. Where do you see it?
I mean, I see it being South Carolina in Clemson. Like, I mean, Williams-Brice is the fourth multiplier, and I'm a firm believer that Spencer Rattler is legit. He is the real deal. Xavier Legette's been fantastic. That place is going to be rocking, and I don't think Clemson has the chest for Williams-Brice.
Okay.
I think there's too much going on. I see them going to a bowl game in that place. They might as well just slide Darude, the Finnish DJ, back in one more time. Just do it again.
Obviously you saw that. I was on the SC Network. I'm wondering how many of our listeners saw that. So Darude, the guy who created the DJ that created Sandstorm, was at Williams-Brice on Saturday, and it was. I mean, God bless if the DJ who created a techno beat 20 years ago is your greatest tradition. I mean, you don't have great traditions, but 100 years from now, if they're still playing Sandstorm, that'll be cool.
Hey, buddy, that royalty check still clears. It's like Nickelback one day when somebody was asking, like, hey, do you get sick and tired of people making fun of you? And he goes, do you realize we're doing this interview on a G5 jet, my jet? Yeah, I don't get sick of it at all.
They literally wrote a song about selling out. Like, I mean,
God bless them.
Ching! All right, Peter Burns, Blue Delta Jeans, BlueDeltaJeans.com. It's almost Christmas time. Be a great gift for the loved one on your list. Go to BlueDeltaJeans.com, BlueDeltaJeans.com. All right, PB, we appreciate you as always, man. Have a great rest of your week.
Good luck, Moso, on your day.
Oh, look at him over there, blushing a little
Thanks,
bit.
PB.
Blushing a little bit. All right, he hung up on us. That's okay. See, that's what we call a dismount. That was very well done. You just got to hang up on him. Muse.
I wanted to be polite and thank him for the good luck wish.
You can thank him, but hang up so you don't get the hang up thing on the air. Okay, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. when we come back, Dennis Allen met with reporters earlier today. Derek Carr, certainly his status for Sunday in Atlanta up in the air. Could we see Jameis against the Falcons? Oh, my God, how cool would that be? It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. Two amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Of course, Friday is Black Friday, but Friday for LSU is the day before LSU plays Texas A&M in Baton Rouge, which means Friday, the LSU football team will be at the Renaissance Hotel. The big ballroom, the grand ballroom at the Renaissance, that's where LSU has all their full team meetings, meals, all that sort of stuff. Whenever they have position meetings, those are in the smaller breakout rooms all throughout the hotel. Point being, if the Renaissance can host the entire LSU football program the day before a game, they can host your event. Maybe you have small group training for work. Maybe you have a large-scale event like a fundraiser or an awards banquet. The Renaissance Hotel is in the business of saying yes. Call Allison Crump over at the Renaissance, and she'll get you set up. It's the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Parts Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, Saints are back out on the practice field this week, getting ready, coming off the bye to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Dennis Allen met with reporters earlier in the day on Monday, And, I mean, at this point, you're a 500 football team through 10 weeks. You're coming out of your bye. You got a half-game lead in your division. And really, when you're a 500 football team, you're basically a Jekyll and Hyde outfit, and that's what Dennis Allen said on Monday.
We've kind of been a little bit of a tale of two teams in that, the first part of the season, we struggled offensively, over the first 5 games and defensively played pretty well. That's kind of flipped a little bit over the last 5 weeks. So we've got to, be able to kind of continue some of the things where we made some improvement offensively. And certainly there's still some things that we need to do better. And we need to get back to playing, the type of defense that we played earlier in the season. That was probably the biggest thing that kind of stood out to me.
So So the Saints are coming off their open date, and they're headed to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And if you remember the last time we saw the Saints, they were losing to Minnesota and Josh Dobbs, and Derek Carr injured his shoulder, was concussed by Danielle Hunter, incidentally. It was a Danielle Hunter, Jaquelin Roy high-low, a little LSU crime there. And Derek Carr went into the concussion protocol, and Dennis Allen was asked Monday if Carr has been cleared, and the news ain't great for the Saints.
He's still got to be able to go through practice and all that, so, and I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, he's still in the protocol?
He's in the protocol.
So he's still in the concussion protocol. On Wednesday, we'll get the first injury report of the week, so that'll give us a clearer indication of whether or not he's trending toward playing. But this is one of those things that you can't fudge it. I mean, you have to clear the concussion protocol steps to be able to play. So if you're still in the concussion protocol 8 days after the hit, that is significant. And hopefully, and as I said after the injury, is for all the criticism that I and others have levied against the Saints, this offense, and Derek Carr this year, you never want anybody to get hurt. Certainly not when you're talking about a head injury. So outside of all the football takes and everything, hope Derek Carr's okay, because this is just a very serious thing when you're talking about head injuries. But if you're the Saints, you are beginning your preparation for this week without Derek Carr being a full go. So that does mean you look more toward Jameis Winston. Now, for whatever it's worth, Jameis Winston's played the Atlanta Falcons 10 times. Of course, he was the starting quarterback in Tampa, and then the last time he played against Atlanta was week 1 a year ago when the Saints played a miserable football game and rallied late to win it in week 1 of the 2022 season. Jameis started that game and led the Saints, rallied the Saints to a win that day. So he's got a lot of history against that franchise, that organization, playing in that building. So there is, obviously, a lot of the players have changed, but there is familiarity. And then remember also, with that Falcons team, you're talking about a familiarity for the Saints offense going against that Atlanta Falcons defense, considering who they're coached by, who some of their best players are, and all of that familiarity there. It might actually feel almost like going up against your scout team, for lack of a better way of saying it. So it'll be an interesting matchup. There is news about the Atlanta quarterback situation. I'll come to that in just a second. But DA also updated Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore. If you remember, Thomas had the knee injury and Lattimore had the ankle injury suffered against the Vikings. Here was the latest.
Michael Thomas and Lattimore, these are injuries that are going to take some time. So, but I think other than that, I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Do you anticipate IR as a possibility?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Doesn't sound like IR is a possibility, which would be a minimum 4 week, but sometime you would assume that means they wouldn't play this week against Atlanta. Dennis Allen was asked about A.T. Perry taking on a larger role. Of course, A.T. Perry had one of those spectacular touchdown receptions against Minnesota in that rally from Jameis Winston. The first touchdown of that rally was A.T. Perry. Had his first couple of catches of his career, and talked about him as a possible replacement with Thomas out.
Step up, make the plays that are there for him to make. Execute his assignments. Continue to come in here and work hard. I thought there were some good things that he did in the game the other day, and then there's some things that he could be better at. So I think with any young player, you just want to see him continue to improve, daily.
There are reports on Monday that with Michael Thomas's injury, the Saints are expected to bring back Marquez Callaway. So Callaway was spotted by the media there at the practice facility on Monday. It doesn't mean if they signed him to the active roster, to the practice squad, or at all, or if he's just there to work out. We'll see. But he's there. He was there on Monday. So Marquez Callaway obviously has a lot of familiarity with the Saints, with the offense. Would be a pretty natural fit to be back here with the team. He signed with the Denver Broncos to reunite with Sean Payton, but was let go after training camp, spent some time with the Raiders, and is a free agent now. So Callaway coming back as a guy that knows your offense, knows your playbook, doesn't have any familiarity with Derek Carr, right? I mean, they haven't worked on any routes or timing or anything, but just familiarity with what you're doing. That makes a lot of sense if you need a guy in a pinch, a guy who's got a lot of experience. So we'll wait for the official roster move designation that the Saints put out via the NFL Wire, the transaction wire. So we'll see what they do. But it looks like Marquez Callaway is coming back. The other side, of course, is the Saints are trying to get Derek Carr back off of injury, out of the concussion protocol. The Atlanta Falcons saw Taylor Heineke suffer an injury on Sunday, and Desmond Ridder replaced him. And it sounds like, according to Arthur Smith, that is a permanent move for the remainder of this season.
Well, a couple things. We talked about it before Arizona, that we would assess everything coming off the bye. Obviously how the game went. Des did a nice job having to come back in that game, gave us a chance. The situation where it's at, and so we think that gives us the best chance. And on top of that, Taylor won't practice a week. We get assessed throughout the week to even see what his role is going to be on Sunday. And so we'll just have to monitor that as it goes. But, we've got a lot of confidence in Dez. We think the last couple of weeks he's handled it really well. There's a lot of things going on, and I think the reset will be very beneficial for him.
Okay, to be clear, you don't have a lot of confidence in Desmond Ridder. You benched him. He was playing very poorly. You benched him in favor of Taylor Heineke. So don't tell me you have a lot of confidence in Desmond Ridder. I understand coaches have to say what they have to say, but the Atlanta Falcons as an organization used a second-round pick on Desmond Ridder, hopes that he could be their franchise. It hasn't gone great early with the returns. They could maybe try to commit to him. We'll see how the remainder of the season goes, but more than likely, the Atlanta Falcons are going to be back in the market this offseason for another franchise quarterback, and if they're somewhere around 500 like the Saints will be, they're going to be drafting possibly a quarterback around the time the Saints could be, so that's something worth watching as you move into the offseason. The bigger question for me with Atlanta is, how in the world is this Atlanta offense so bad? And I understand it's part and parcel with the conversation we're just having about not having good quarterback play. So I do understand that as we say it, but it's more to say, look at the talent they have offensively. It's kind of reminiscent of the Saints, where you wonder, how is this team middle, bottom of the pack of the NFL in scoring when you've got Derek Carr and Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and all of the weapons you have offensively. You draft Kendre Miller, you got Juwan Johnson, you bring back Jimmy Graham. I mean, you got so much talent on the offensive side. You signed Jamal Williams in free agency, and you're middle, bottom half of the NFL in offense. But you look at the Atlanta Falcons and you go, drafted Bijan Robins, who when they actually decide to give him the ball, he's a special player. You've got, after that, you got Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier. You've got good runners, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. This team is averaging 18.9 points per game. Atlanta is. That's 24th in the NFL. Knock on Formica, but this feels like a tailor-made matchup for the Saints defense to be able to go on the road and put the Falcons offense in a chokehold. Younghoe Koo is a great kicker, but this is not a great offense. They scored 23 against the Cardinals. They scored 28 in a loss to the Vikings. That was where Dobbs led the comeback. They scored 23 in a loss to the Titans. The last time they won a game was when they beat Tampa in Tampa, and they won that game 16-13. They scored 16 points in a loss to the Commanders. They scored 7 points against Jacksonville, 6 points against the Lions. This is just a bad offensive football team. So the Saints should highlight, bold, italic, underscore, should be able to go Atlanta and play a really good game defensively against a bad offense. But we thought the Saints would go to Minnesota against a quarterback that had been there for 8 days and play really well, and didn't. So who knows with the Saints at this point? As Dennis Allen said in the first bite we played for you, it's a tale of two teams. The first half of the year, you felt like your defense played well and your offense was playing pretty poor. It sort of flipped of late where your offense has gotten a little bit better, but your defense is playing badly. Which team do you see in Atlanta? I mean, when you're a coin flip team, when you're a Jekyll and Hyde team, when it's a 50-50 proposition, you never really know. It could change week to week and half to half. So, I mean, I look at the Saints right now at 5-5. They're they're a full game ahead of Atlanta in the division, who's at 4-6. And you're going to play in Atlanta with a great chance to take a 2-game lead in the division and have a tiebreaker. But I just can't say with any confidence that I think the Saints are going to go get it done because they haven't shown they could do it all year. If you want the glass half full point of view, it's that last year coming out of their bye, they went on a 3-game winning streak. They utilized that time and played well for the 3 weeks after it. So maybe this is an opportunity for the Saints to get going a little bit on the road in Atlanta against Desmond Ridder back in as the starting quarterback for Atlanta for the remainder of the season. But the Saints have their own question. Is it going to be Derek Carr or Jameis Winston as Derek Carr still tries to clear concussion protocol? Okay, it's after further review. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. Brian Kelly met with reporters earlier today. Of course, LSU beat Georgia State on Saturday, and we did not see one of the more popular freshmen on this LSU team, and we didn't see LSU's leading rusher among running backs. Brian Kelly updated their status on Monday for this week's game against Texas A&M. We'll get to that as we continue on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. I've been mentioning this to you, and I want to remind you, a really cool thing that they're doing at River City's 1 Hour Air. They're adopting 3 families for Christmas. So I highly recommend you go to River City's 1 Hour Air social media, and you can see all the info. It's their official Adopt a Family Christmas program. This holiday season, River City's 1 Hour Air is going to adopt 3 families in need to help give them and their children a joyful Christmas. So if you're interested in more info, you can go to River City's 1 Hour Air's Facebook page to get the info, or you can email your nomination to christmas@onehourbr.com. Again, email christmas@onehourbr.com. Spell it out, christmas@ONE1hourbr.com. It's the Adopt a Family program this Christmas at River City's 1 Hour Air.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
We'll practice early in the morning. We'll finish up around 11:30, 11:45. We had our big meal Sunday, as a team. And then we'll get them in and out of here pretty early by noontime. And let them, for those that are close enough to get home to be with families. For those that don't, the coaches will take in the remaining players.
I love that, by the way, that the players from out of town who are here for Thanksgiving go to coaches' homes for Thanksgiving. That's really cool. But it is Thanksgiving week, so it's not anything new for these players or these coaches, but it is a different week how it's formatted. With the fall break coming here, and with the vacation for Thanksgiving, and with students leaving campus, and then the players obviously having to practice Thursday morning to then be able to go home. It just changes routine a little bit, but sometimes how you handle routine change determines a lot of your abilities to succeed. Brian Kelly was asked that, actually. This number 19 Muse, if we could. He was asked about this week and how it changes your preparation for the week.
Well, classes end on Wednesday at 12:30, so we'll have plenty of time with our team. It's an early start, so, you're changing your routine up a little bit. We'll get to the hotel a little bit earlier on Friday to make sure that we finish up a little bit earlier Friday night, because we'll have an early morning on Saturday.
Of course, it'll be the big difference playing in the 11 a.m. game at home as opposed to on the road. You're not stopping at a car lot, whatever, used car lot like they were on the way to Starkville. But that worked out well for LSU, and of course they won the 11 a.m. kickoff against Missouri. So the Tigers have won these early kickoffs this year. They have been ready to go and have played well in those football games. You could argue that the Mississippi State game was LSU's most dominant win. Maybe Auburn, but certainly on the road, it was LSU. We're pretty optimistic about the team at that point of the season, coming off the Florida State loss, that they were actually improving after Grambling Mississippi State. But nonetheless, when Brian Kelly met with reporters, he was asked, coming out of Saturday, I was asked a ton about Whit Weeks. And I know a lot of people have been asked and are curious about Whit Weeks. He's had a fantastic freshman season. When Omar Spates was injured earlier this year, Weeks started 3 times in his place and was a super productive player. And I think I understand from the fans' perspective that when you see a player that flashes, that's constantly having his name called and making plays, you wonder, why isn't he playing more? And so Weeks did not play on Saturday against Georgia State. And then West Weeks, his brother, tweets free 40, assuming that meant, there was something nefarious going on, why Whit Weeks hadn't been playing. Well, Brian Kelly cleared the air on Monday.
Yeah, he's been injured. He had an accident that left a nasty gash in his foot, and he wasn't able to play at the highest level. We could probably got him in the Georgia State game. That was my decision not to play him. I did not want to put him in a game where, he pops 2 or 3 of those stitches, and then we didn't have him for A&M. We're going to need him this weekend.
So that's good to see. I know everybody's excited about Whit Weeks. And he started 3 times this year. He didn't record a stat against Florida and then didn't play against Georgia State. But you heard Brian Kelly say he'll be back this week. And really, when you look at that Mississippi State game where he started, he had 8 tackles and was kind of all over the field. And then he followed that up in the game against Arkansas where he had 9 tackles, TFL, half a sack. Against Ole Miss, he had 9 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. In the game, not much went well offensively for LSU. And so a lot of people have been wondering, like, why isn't Whit Weeks playing more when the defense has been playing so bad? I want to remind you this. This was about a month ago when, do you have the date on it? What was the date on it, Muse?
October 2nd.
So October 2nd. So a little more than a month ago. This was after the Ole Miss loss. And Brian Kelly was asked about Whit Weeks and why he wasn't playing more. Here's what Brian Kelly said.
Yeah, I mean, we love his energy. We love what he's doing. We want him to continue to grow, continue to do what he's doing. There's nothing that we don't like about him, but he's learning the position.
He's learning the position. Whenever something like this comes up with a player, I tend to defer to the coaches. And it's not to say that coaches are infallible. But being around this long enough, one thing that I do know is that you and I aren't at practice every day. And you could say, well, maybe he's not great at practice, but he's good in the game. The other thing, too, is you don't know what the play call was, what the defensive call was in a game. And how many times might that person not be making a play that you're unaware of? Like, you notice the positives, you don't notice the negatives, if that makes sense. It's not like a defensive back getting beat, but what if you're supposed to turn and cover? What if you're supposed to fill a gap? And we just don't know what that job is. Like, it's very obvious that the kid's fast and athletic, he makes plays and tackles, and that's awesome. And I would argue, as many of you would, on a defense this bad, could it be any worse? But if you're Brian Kelly and this coaching staff and you're looking at a guy like Omar Spates and you go, that's a fifth-year player. He's got a ton of experience. There's more upside with a guy like Weeks, but do you want to have the guy on the field that's been in these environments more and knows where to be and the calls and all that stuff? Maybe that's the explanation. You hear Brian Kelly say he's learning the position, right? He's learning the position. So he's telling you the answer there, that there's a greater expectation that they don't feel like he's able to get up to speed with. So we see it all the time with young, talented players, and they love Whit Weeks, and he's going to play a ton more. And I know that's not an explanation that fans love to hear, and I'm with you on it, but especially when it's frustrating watching a defense that's been so bad. But just doing this long enough, I've just come to trust that the coaches know better. Like, they know their players. They know their personnel. They know who's capable of what the expectations are. So, we'll all be really excited to watch Whit Weeks continue to grow throughout his LSU career, but the mystery as to why he's not been playing, Brian Kelly was pretty direct. He had a gash on his foot. He had stitches, got the stitches out on Sunday, and they expect him to be able to go this week against Texas A&M. Same is the expectation for running back Logan Diggs, who's missed the past 2 games with what Brian Kelly called an upper body injury. Here was the update on Diggs.
Yeah, he was with the team. He should be available. He's been dealing with an upper body injury. He's in good stead with the team. So he was with us at the hotel. He was with us throughout. He may have popped inside for a little bit, but he was with us throughout the entire week of preparation. He tried, diligently on Thursday. We put him through a pretty good workout on Thursday. We just felt like, again, with the depth that we have at that position, we wanted him. He's a guy that initiates contact. He's a physical runner. We wanted him 100% for an A&M.
So that makes sense. He wasn't ready to go against Florida. You didn't need him against Georgia State. It was a great opportunity to get Josh Williams and Logan Diggs, Josh Williams and Noah Cain and Caleb Jackson some run, which was Trey Holly got in there as well. It's a great opportunity for those guys. And you got an extra week to get Logan Diggs healthy for a game where you may really need him against the most physical defensive front you're going to see all year. Logan Diggs is another one of the interesting ones to keep an eye on this year. One of the things Brian Kelly talked about was, can you play number 7 real quick, Muse? So it's senior day, and there's a lot of seniors who may go through senior day who still have the opportunity to come back for another year. Brian Kelly talked about that.
Each year, we go through this process where you could have a couple senior days. It's one of those kind of situations where, we're really working off of their academic calendar, not necessarily their eligibility calendar. So we want to be able to honor them off of their academic calendar and what they've done in the classroom. And so there is that opportunity that somebody could come back because we're still dealing with the COVID year as that additional year of eligibility.
Kyron Lacey was mentioned by name, who's a senior in classification but has another year. Josh Williams, who was part of the 2019 season, who redshirted, got the COVID year, could come back next year again if he wanted to return for another season. Now, I brought this up because of Logan Diggs. Diggs isn't a senior, but Diggs is a guy who could choose to leave for the draft because this is his third year of college football. He's 3 years out of high school. He could choose to leave early. So it's one of those it's the time in the calendar where we start to look at, all right, who's coming back, who's possibly playing their last game in Tiger Stadium on Saturday. And those are a few that we'll keep an eye on. I think Logan Diggs will have an interesting decision to make as well. Okay, y'all. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and southpointvw.com. You know where to find them. Airline just north of Highland. Remember, if you're in Lafayette, shout out to our ESPN 1037 Lafayette listeners. Southwest Volkswagen, they're in Lafayette as well. So if you're in Lafayette or Lake Charles, serving the southwest part of the state. South Point Volkswagen, though, is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or might be, just put Volkswagen on your list because right now, Sign Then Drive is back, and it's the best time of year. That's not lip service. It's true. Sign Then Drive is their single best incentive of the year. 0 down, 0 due at signing, no first month's payment, no security deposit. You sign your name, and with little else, you're driving away in a brand new vehicle from South Point Volkswagen. Test drive one today. Airline just north of Highland, or shop them online at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? In 15 minutes, I want to talk about Heisman bias. And I'm sure everyone listening by now has seen the tweet from John Canzano up in Portland. Or if you haven't, you probably have heard people talking about it. And it has sparked this conversation about biased voting in the Heisman. And I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I would like to talk about that coming up in 15 minutes as we start hour number 3. So if you're just knocking off of work and joining us and you're wondering if you missed that convo, I opened the show with my thoughts on Jaden's day on Saturday and the Heisman and all that stuff. We recapped the game, but I haven't yet talked about that angle of this story yet, and I do want to get to that. So that's coming up here in 15 minutes. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Muse will wrap up with Tigers and the Pros. Stay here.
AFR.
All right, y'all, we had awful weather around Baton Rouge last week. So much rain. We needed it. But the rain means you typically find out that you have issues with your roof. So if you have issues with your roof, let Hudco Roofing help. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, a Louisiana company that's been around for more than 20 years. Big shout out to Jeff and Sherry Hudson, who started the company 20 years ago up in Bossier. John Michael Garcia, of course, my partners here with Richard Tilley and Ryan Terrio. We service the entire state of Louisiana. No matter where you are in Louisiana, from the smallest repair to the largest roof replacement, we'd love to help you out by giving you that free, no-obligation inspection. It's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. A couple ways you can reach out. Number one, you can always call. In the 225, it's 364-1007, 364-1007. By the way, that number forwards to like 5 people's cell phones, so you are likely to get someone on the phone when you call. You can go to the website. There's a phone number for every area code in the state, or you could fill out the form on the homepage. It's Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, we're featuring 2023 Toyota Tundras with $2,000 bonus cash. $2,000 bonus cash offer on Toyota Tundras. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Musso has Tigers in the pros. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Since we didn't have Tigers in the pros on Friday's show, I did want to go back to Thursday Night Football real quick to start, because a couple of the LSU guys, I did have some noteworthy stats. Obviously, Joe Burrow, the injury, that stands out. By now, if you don't know, left with the wrist injury, is out for the season with the torn ligament in his wrist. Did tally up 101 yards and a touchdown in the game before leaving. Jamar Chase was impacted by that, as you might imagine. Just 12 yards, but did end up with a touchdown thrown by Jake Browning, actually. Probably the first time he's caught a touchdown from somebody other than Joe Burrow in a very, very long time, if you are Jamar Chase. The big standout was Odell Beckham on the other side for the Ravens. 4 receptions for 116 yards and a long of 51. That is actually one of Odell's better games all season for the Broncos. For the Ravens. Don't know where the Broncos came from.
They played last night.
They did,
which is way more recent than Thursday night
against the Minnesota Vikings, which is where I was going next.
Which
that's
Thursday night was 4 nights ago.
I know, but I wanted to point it out.
Muse.
We didn't have it.
It doesn't matter. That was Thursday. Go, Muse.
Look, 116 yards from Odell. I like it.
Muse. It was Thursday.
But
Otter, Otter always talks about with the baseball thing when you got updated games in the middle of the day. We could just come on. That was Thursday.
Daniil Hunter last night for the Minnesota Vikings.
Way more recent.
3 tackles in the ball game. Another sack, though. That's really the significant. That's sack number 12 of the season. But should tell you he has fallen out of the lead in the National Football League behind Myles Garrett now, who has 13 sacks. So a little catch up to do for Daniil Hunter. Speaking of sacks, B.J. Ojulari, another one for him in the Cardinals game yesterday against the Houston Texans. It's the 3rd game out of the last 4 that Ojulari has registered a sack. His role is really starting to grow out there in the desert. Damone Clark, 6 stops yesterday, one of those coming for a loss, and we have some basketball for you as well. We'll start with Skylar Mays. Another solid outing, 11 points, 26 minutes. Again in a starting role, 7 assists. So he's getting close there, man. He's close to a double-double just about every night out here that we touch on. And then Tari Eason didn't stuff the stat sheet when it comes to points for the Rockets last night. Only 2 of them, but did block a shot and grab 5 rebounds in 17 minutes of action. The Rockets lost to the Lakers. That's Tigers in the pros.
Are you freaking kidding me?
What? Oh, wait. Oh, I did. Now I know what you're going for. My bad. That is my bad. I did not write that one down.
I'll
Sorry.
take care of it.
No, I got it. But you got to yell
Aaron
it.
Nola, Cali High,
There it is,
signed
yeah.
a 7-year, $172 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. Shout out to Aaron Nola, LSU baseball. Hey, Coach Jay, your newest, biggest booster online too. Why don't you give old Aaron Nola a call, brother? Because whatever improvements you need over at the Box Friend, whatever NIL you want, I'm sure you can tap into the Nola boys. Aaron Nola just got broke TF off. Are you kidding me? 7 years, $172 million. And since Muse didn't do his job, I was glad to do it. Cali High! And you love baseball. What's wrong with you? Oh, it's 4:54.
When you
the gummies
brought
are
it up, I was like, oh, wait, I did omit
I forgot.
that. And
Yeah,
I was
you
going
forgot.
to go do it. I had it. I just forgot to write it down. I'm sorry. It's been a heck of a day.
Aaron Nola.
I know.
7 years.
We
You got
had an
Joe Burrow from Thursday.
We had an
You got-
update
hey,
last week
everybody.
on Nola.
Hey,
Just
Joe Burrow. Hold on. Joe
talking
Burrow
to teams.
Joe Burrow got hurt. Oh, by the way, the Titanic sunk
Yeah, it
as
happened.
well.
It
For
did.
anybody who might have missed it.
April 16th,
Hey, Paulie,
1912.
Paulie, Joe Burrow got hurt. Not sure if you know. JFK got shot in Dallas.
That did happen as
Devastating.
well.
Devastating thing that happened.
I was going to.
Hey, Paulie, I don't know if you heard. Joe Burrow, he got a ligament in his hand, done for the year.
Wrist.
I'm not sure if you knew that. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, in case you hadn't heard yet, also, James Garfield, he died.
AFR.
Giving me Tigers in the Pros from Thursday. He doesn't have Nola's contract. What are we doing, Muse? Pure Restoration. I need to restore my confidence in Muse's ability to do Tigers in the Pros. Pure-restoration.com. Mold Zero is now Pure Restoration. Same patented non-toxic dry fog. New expanded menu of services. New name. It's Pure Restoration. Go to pure-restoration.com. You want to kill mold? If you have odor from pets, cigarettes, odor from mold or any mildew, anything like that, Pure Restoration can help. They'll come in, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog, and they'll be in and out. It'll be more efficient. For a single-family home, they could be in and out in less than a day, half a day. And it's going to be more cost-effective than traditional mold remediation as well. It's Pure Restoration. Learn more online at pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is #1, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It'll be Tim Boyle starting for the Jets Friday against the Dolphins. Zach Wilson, after another subpar performance, benched again. The Jets are in this spot because they failed to give themselves options after Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. Amazon Prime NFL analyst Andrew Whitworth.
We said this after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Everyone politics for what quarterback it was they should trade for. Every quarterback that's out there that they might could sign and see them develop in case Zach Wilson isn't the answer. And every time it was met with, this is our guy, he's our future. It's one thing to say that, it's another as an organization to not be preparing for alternatives and saying, hey, what if he's not?
Andrew Whitworth on Carlin versus Joe. Friday, Trevor Siemian's the backup. Wilson's the third-string QB. Coach Robert Saleh would not address Wilson's future with the Jets today. A blockbuster coming up on Monday Night Football. Eagles-Chiefs, 8:15 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. Ravens coach John Harbaugh told reporters, tight end Mark Andrews, there is an outside chance he could return from a left ankle injury at some point this season, 4 days after team thought that Andrews' season was over.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser,
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. What a weekend. Jaden Daniels goes off again. 8 total touchdowns. He is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. We opened up the show with that. Peter Burns was here an hour ago. We will get to a little more audio from Dennis Allen, who met with reporters earlier today, and how a Broncos winning streak is kind of a kick in the nuts for the New Orleans Saints. We'll get to all that here over the next hour, and we'll get to Otter Locks, get a pick on Monday Night Football for you with a rematch of the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Eagles. Wonder where Taylor Swift's going to be watching, huh? She going to be there? No? Not going to be there?
No, she's back out on tour. I think she's in like South America or
she might have a
something.
little bit of a break. She's got a jet. Get in, watch the game, get back. You got a day off.
Is it true that her parents are going to be there?
That's what Erica told me.
Okay.
The Swifts and the Kelseys are meeting for the first time.
Oh.
Big night. The parents are meeting each other.
That's an important
Big
day. Yeah,
night.
that's an important
It's
day.
an important night. Muse like when your parents ultimately meet the winner of the Bachelor's parents. That's going to be a special day. Excited for it.
Ultimately. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to work. It's got to work. I mean, this all started with a stupid, random, off-the-cuff idea that I had, and now we've gone this far. It can't blow up. It's got to work. It's got to work. And the only reason we've led to this point, Muse, is that
pressure.
And Muse, the only reason we're even at this point is that years ago, when I gave you the option of your own drop, and you said you don't care, I went off the cuff and went Aqua Barbie Girl. The first thing that popped in my head.
It's insane.
Tell me that is the definite. What's the movie of what am I trying to think of? New York City, the glove and it's a love story. Serendipity. That is serendipity.
I've never seen it.
That is serendipitous. How else can you explain it?
Right.
It's got to work. It just has to. We've all led to this moment. It's got to work. It's like it's a Todd Peterson 2.0. I mean,
Todd Peterson.
I happened to randomly see an awful Adam Sandler movie where the guy called himself Todd Peterson. LSU signs a pitcher named Todd Peterson. Before he ever throws a pitch at LSU, we start doing the Todd Peterson drop. And I'll be damned, he has one of the most viral moments in the history of college baseball.
Yeah, he did.
I can't make this stuff up, Muse.
Okay.
I also can't make up what John Canzano did, unfortunately. All right, let me talk about this. So, I am assuming that most of you by now at 5:05 p.m. Central Time on Monday, November the 20th, have seen this tweet or at least heard about it from John Canzano. If you're not familiar with John, John is very good at what he does. He is a statewide radio host in the state of Oregon. He also used to write for Oregon Live, which is the same ownership group that has like AL.com and all this. And I believe now John has since left there and has his own website where he publishes all of his written content. But he does a syndicated statewide show in Oregon. He is sort of like a voice, one of the voices of Oregon sports. Not the University of Oregon, the state of Oregon. Just for some context, back in 2011, when LSU and Oregon played in the season opener, John and I did a lot of reciprocal radio. And that was it was a huge game, obviously, in the offseason, but you might recall there was a lot of off-the-field stuff that kept transpiring leading up to that game. At LSU, there was the Shady's bar fight and all the suspensions. Oregon suspended Kiko Alonso, the linebacker, who was a bit of a knucklehead off the field, but was a really great player for them, so he wasn't available in that game. There was a lot of stuff, okay? So John and I ended up going on each other's show. He's on 3 to 6 Pacific. I'm on 3 to 6 Central. So, he'd come on in my last hour, and I'd go on, in his first hour, however it worked out. I don't really remember. But anyway, time zones. Anyway, or maybe he'd come on in my first hour, and I'd go on in his last hour, whatever. So I like John. John's very good at what he does. I respect him a lot. He is a very respected name and voice in the Pacific Northwest. So just for some context, that it's not like some Yahoo with a blog who tweeted this. But the reason that this is even more important is that John Canzano is a Heisman voter. And that's why I have a gigantic problem with this. So on Sunday, as all of the Jayden talk continues to go, and you see the odds are shifting in Jayden's favor, like all the betting odds now, John Canzano tweets, "Stop with the Jaden Daniels Heisman hype. He'd hold a clipboard at both Oregon and Washington." Okay. I know a lot of people just teed off on John with emotional responses, and I don't blame you. That's what I would expect a fan to do when someone from another media outlet takes a shot at your guy. And I don't blame you. That tweet, by the way, John's tweet has 2.9 million impressions. Needless to say, it went viral, and that's why I'm assuming most of you have seen it or heard someone say it. Most of the time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what somebody tweeted, unless if it's someone reputable and what they tweeted matter. And the reason that this matters is that John has a Heisman vote. And it's a great opportunity to talk about a few things as it relates to the Heisman. So I replied to John. I quote tweeted John with what I thought was a thoughtful response. My response alone has been seen 319,000 times on Twitter. So I tweeted a few things. Number one, John is very good at what he does. And I just went into greater detail about that with you here. Number two, Penix and Nix are great players, having terrific seasons and worthy of Heisman consideration. I firmly believe that. Bo Nix and Michael Penix are both pushing the top of all the major statistical categories. Both teams are in the top 5 and are going to most likely play for the conference championship next week. In any given year, these are quintessential Heisman candidates. Quarterback, great statistics, team leaders, veteran players on great teams pushing for the playoff. They are worthy of consideration, and it's a close race, and they're going to get votes, and rightfully should get votes. You have a very clear-cut top 3 in the Heisman race this year. I write also, Daniels is objectively having the best season of any player in college football. This isn't debatable. What I mean by that is when you look at objective metrics, Jaden Daniels leads the country in touchdowns accounted for. Jaden Daniels leads the country in yards accounted for. He leads the country in yards per attempt. There are endless amounts of statistical categories where Jaden Daniels leads the country. You've seen them all. I don't need to rattle off the list. You understand it. By objective metrics, Jaden is having the best season. Subjectively is where you could have the argument of, well, they've lost 3 games, and what would Bo Nix or Michael Penix's team be without them? And they're in a playoff race and strength of schedule. That's where you can bring in all the subjective opinions. And it's okay if someone subjectively thinks Penix or Nix is more deserving than Jaden Daniels. That's okay. Not everyone's going to agree on everything all the time. It is very rare that you have a Joe Burrow situation, which is why he won in the greatest landslide in the history of the award. It was just obvious to everyone. And if you had a vote and you didn't vote for Joe Burrow, you probably shouldn't have a vote in 2019. That doesn't always happen. Another thing I noted, and this is where it's important to factor in here. My fourth point was regional bias has always existed in Heisman voting, which is why the Heisman Trust divides the votes regionally to mitigate impact. John Canzano's tweet is a great example of that. The reason that Heisman voters, that you don't just have a glut of votes in the Northeast or in the Southeast, is because of exactly this. You will invariably have regional bias. It happens every year. When you look at maps of voters and how every region voted for the Heisman, you will see a regional bias for a certain candidate. It's just the way it goes, except for years where there's an obvious choice like Burrow in 2019. So this year shouldn't be any different. And I respect the fact that the Heisman Trust does it that way to try to minimize the opportunity for bias to affect the outcome. I also pointed out that my opinion is media who cover one school should not vote on the Heisman because of this bias. People cover the sport as a whole should decide. That's my opinion. That national media should vote for awards like the Heisman Trophy. Not only because of bias, but also, when you are a beat writer covering one school, your day Saturday is not made up of watching all of college football. I'll give you LSU for an example. LSU played at 7 o'clock this past week against Georgia State. The LSU media that goes to the game and is responsible for covering LSU on that game day, you're probably at the stadium at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock kickoff. At least at 5 o'clock, possibly earlier. So if you're there, think about the time you left your house, had to park and walk. I mean, this could be at least another hour, maybe longer. Hypothetically, say you leave your house at 4, you're at Tiger Stadium at 5, kickoff's at 7. By the time you do post-game and all your other obligations, it's after midnight. All you got to see was the 11 a.m. window. You didn't get to watch a day of college football. You spent your day primarily watching one game. How could you possibly have a great grasp of college football as a whole and what went on that day if you're spending your entire day covering one team? Which is why I think the national media that cover the sport as a whole, that maybe don't go as deep in their knowledge in one school, but have a working knowledge of every school, they're much more equipped to vote for this than someone who has deep knowledge of one team or of one conference. So that's just my opinion. I also pointed out it is possible to praise Bo Nix and Michael Penix without minimizing Jaden Daniels. Minimizing Daniels would suggest you haven't seen him play, which, as a voter, harms credibility. And I think that's a fact here with John. In saying that Daniels would hold a clipboard at Oregon and Washington, and insulting Jaden Daniels suggests you haven't seen him play, because he has been absolutely otherworldly this year. Maybe part of that is John remembered watching Daniels and that struggling Arizona State team in the COVID year in 2021 and hasn't seen him now. Similarly, I'm sure there are people here who remember Bad Bo when Bo Nix was at Auburn and haven't watched the phenomenal college football player he has developed into this year at Oregon because you're not watching him as much. So you can praise Nix and Penix without criticizing Daniels. Criticizing Daniels makes you look silly. And unfortunately for John, I think that happens here. The other thing is to suggest that Daniels would be holding a clipboard at Oregon or Washington. Wouldn't the opposite also be true in Baton Rouge? Like if Bo Nix came to Baton Rouge or Michael Penix, they're not unseating Jaden Daniels. They're all three great players having great seasons at their respective schools in their respective offenses. So none of them at a different school would unseat the person who's there. That's why they're Heisman candidates right now. And also noted that Jaden Daniels is now the betting favorite to win the award, which he is. On Sunday, Jaden Daniels overtook Bo Nix as the betting favorite on DraftKings and FanDuel and Action Network and Caesars. Like, Jaden Daniels is now the betting favorite to win the award. So, my hope is that this isn't really a hope. This is something I'm certain of. There's going to be regional bias in the Heisman vote. There always is, for the reasons we said. It's why the Heisman Trust distributes the votes regionally to even it all out. But the fact that there has been this groundswell of support for Jaden after playing Georgia State. Jaden Daniels played Georgia State and was so spectacular, he overtook Bo Nix on a day where Nix threw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bo Nix was 400 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Jaden overtook him after that performance, which speaks to how amazing Jaden Daniels has been. Listen, if you're John Canzano and you're going to vote for Nix or Penix, that's fine. But you can do that without discrediting Jaden. And doing that as a Heisman voter only further discredits him and the voting process, unfortunately. So it was the type of thing that I would expect to see like a fan post on social media, not a respected media member that also has a Heisman vote. And that's, honestly, that's cringeworthy. So I was disappointed that John did that. I was very disappointed to see it from someone that I do respect professionally and think does an awesome job. But listen, you do this job long enough, we're all going to have moments that aren't our finest. And I think this is one of his, unfortunately, ugly warts. Okay. If you want to react, feel free. You can email us. You can tweet us at Matt Moscona. You can jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, or you can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. The Denver Broncos keep on winning, much to the Saints' chagrin. We'll talk about it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You can get by Rouse's.com. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, follow Rouse's on all their social media, in particular Facebook, because, of course, on Friday, we were at Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee for their Tackle Hunger for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. Well, they're continuing to do that at all the Rouse's locations and all the Rouse's the markets throughout the state that they cover to help fill the food banks for all of the Rouse's areas that they cover. Thanksgiving is Thursday. If you need your sides, your fixins, your trimmings, the adult beverages for the family as they come over, you can always get by Rouse's. And this Friday is Black Friday, and they've got exclusive bourbon baskets for those whiskey hunters like me. You will want to check them out at Rouse's locations near you. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. It's Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
We're going to get to our college football takeaways in about 10 minutes. Otter's coming up in about 25 minutes from right now. We'll do Otter Locks, get some Thursday or Monday Night Football tonight. Should be a really good game. Got Chiefs and Eagles, the Kelsey brothers going head-to-head, rematch of the Super Bowl. Lots of fun storylines in the Kansas City Chiefs, which are starting to obviously roll. I don't know if they ever actually stopped rolling. But one team that has got it in gear is the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos rallied last night, despite being outplayed much of the night by the Minnesota Vikings. The Broncos, which, as someone who had the over in the game, was annoyed by this game in total. But the Broncos settled for 5 Will Lutz field goals and were trailing late in the game and needed a 2-minute drive by Russell Wilson, and they needed a touchdown to win it, and they got it. The Broncos end up winning on Sunday Night Football at home against Minnesota, and they have now polished off a 4-game winning streak. And I remember it was just about a month ago that we were looking at Tankathon, which, if you're not familiar, Tankathon's a website that sort of makes projections of the draft order based on how teams are now, what they're projected to do. And Denver at that time was projected to pick 3rd. Now, the reason that's relevant here is because of the Sean Payton trade. The Saints got Denver's number 1 pick last year and their 2nd-round pick this year. So if Denver had completely bottomed out and picked 3rd overall, that means the Saints' 2nd-round pick would have been the 3rd pick in round 2, the 35th overall pick in the draft, which kind of as like an extension of round 1. You're probably going to get first-round value there. But Denver isn't cooperating. After starting the season 0-3, which included the 70-20 loss to Miami, Denver got on the board with a win over the Bears, 31-28. They would lose back-to-back games to the Jets, and that was the Nathaniel Hackett Bowl, of course. And then they lost at the Chiefs, 19-8. Since then, Denver beat Green Bay. They embarrassed Kansas City, 24-9, the day where Kansas City didn't get in the end zone. They won at the Bills, 24-22, and now they beat the Minnesota Vikings last night on the late game heroics by Russ, winning it 21-20. That's 4 in a row. If you look at Tankathon now, I mean, it's what you would kind of expect. Denver's second-round pick now is projected to be number 47 overall. That stinks. So if you're looking at it, the Saints right now, according to Tankathon, I'll pull up the website here for those who are watching. You'll see it along with us here. Here's Tankathon, with Carolina projected to have the worst record of the NFL. That pick, of course, goes to the Bears because of the trade a year ago. So Bears, Cardinals, Patriots, the Bears pick, 4th. Giants, Titans, Commanders, Falcons 8, Packers 9, Tampa 10. You'd have to go down to 19 to see the Saints pick. So Tankathon is projecting the Saints as a wild card round loser to pick 19th overall. If they pick 19, if this holds, by the way, if the Saints win the division, go to the wild card round, lose in the wild card round, they pick 19th overall. And if this holds with Denver, the 47th pick would be New Orleans. So they pick 19 and then 47. Then you have a really, really big gap. The Saints don't have a third-round pick this year. That pick, the Saints' second-round pick went to Philly as a result of the trade a couple of years ago. And the third-round pick is with Denver. So the Saints wouldn't have another pick until what is projected to be a compensatory pick in round 4, which, as Tankathon says, would be 136 overall. So basically, you would go your pick at 19, Denver's pick at 47, and then you wouldn't pick again till 136. All of this to say, and by the way, because of the Onyemata, Caden Ellis, Marcus Davenport, losing those players in free agency, you're projected to get 3 compensatory picks, which the Saints need this year. But we don't know that until the league year begins and they award all that in March. So we don't know if you're for sure going to get those picks or where they'll be. There are people who the NFL has never revealed its compensatory pick formula, but there are people who sort of work backwards, right? They reverse engineer the compensatory picks to try to figure out the formula, and they've gotten almost to a science. So anyway, the Saints would be in line for 3 compensatory picks. They have 2 picks from Denver. They're 2 and they're 7, and 1 pick from Philly. They're 6. So as it stands right now, the Saints would have their first-round pick, the Broncos' second-round pick, a compensatory pick in round 4, the Saints pick in round 5, 2 compensatory picks in round 5, so 3 fifth-round picks, 2 6s, and a 7 is basically how it would look for New Orleans right now. But when I look at the fact that the Saints wouldn't pick again from round 2, which is Denver's pick in round 2, until their projected compensatory pick in round 4, you have got to have a slam dunk top 2 picks. Like you cannot miss, and you can't really take a project. So what the Saints do there will be pretty fascinating. The draft is always fascinating, and it gets a bit more convoluted as Denver continues to win, because you would love for Denver to keep losing to make that second-round pick more appealing for the Saints, that the Saints own. So the long story short is that's a big word salad, but the easiest way I could say it is cheer against Denver. Cheer against Denver. That second-round pick that the Saints control keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. And in a draft where you might be inclined to select a quarterback, if you have a high second-round pick, that could be the capital you need to move up in round 1 to take the player you want, or the justification for taking a quarterback at presumptively 19, because you know you have a pick coming at 35, thereabouts, you're in the 30s in round 2. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Y'all, Thanksgiving is coming up on Thursday. You know that. You got 3 NFL games on Thanksgiving. Awesome time to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Use the promo code Baton Rouge, and when you do, make a $5 bet on the NFL this Thanksgiving. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Man, if you want to bet on the NBA, of course you can do it. You want to bet on the NHL, it's there. College, futures bets, it's all there for you. And, of course, every day with the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet this Thursday for Thanksgiving and all the NFL action on Thanksgiving, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. Hit the disclaimer. Hang on. I got to go find the disclaimer. Did you play a disclaimer? Just play it. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana, select parishes. Only bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, we're going to go. We'll do our college football takeaways coming up here in 15 minutes from right now. I'm sorry, right after the break. In 15 minutes from right now, we'll have Otter Locks with us. If you missed the news earlier today, Derek Carr still in the concussion protocol. Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore likely to be out for a little bit, according to Dennis Allen. All right, well, now I got a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do our college football takeaways. We'll get to Otter Locks in 15 minutes. Otter, no doubt, will have a pick on Monday Night Football with the Chiefs and the Eagles from the city of brotherly love. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, Gordon always making waves in NIL, and if you haven't seen it yet, Gordon has done the first ever NIL deal with a cheerleader out at LSU. You can get to Gordon's social media to check it out. Always love what Gordon does by way of expanding the NIL presence and giving opportunities to great athletes. We'll tell you much more about that. But right now, of course, with the holiday season upon us, the Gordon bike giveaway, the Gordon Gives bike giveaway is back. This year, it's bigger than ever. Gordon's giving away 488 bikes. 488 bikes. If you know a child in need or family in need that might love to be able to have that shiny bicycle this Christmas, go to GordonGives.com. GordonGives.com. Enter to win. This is statewide, by the way. No matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, you can enter. It's at GordonGives.com. GordonGives.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
We get to Otter Locks in 10 minutes. Every single Monday, Muse, Paulie, and I take a gander at the college football weekend and give you our biggest takeaways. Hit it, Muse.
Another week in the books. What did we learn about the landscape of college football?
I don't know what I learned about the landscape of the Big 12, but we'll get there. Go ahead, Muse.
Georgia looks like Georgia again. Everyone, we kind of got caught up in the early season struggles, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. The defense was always really good. Now the offense is caught up in their last 3 games. Carson Beck, over 850 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's leading a much better attack than the one that took the field against South Carolina, and they look pretty darn unstoppable right now.
Georgia or the field?
I'll take Georgia.
Follow Georgia to the field.
Georgia.
I'm taking the field. Mark it down. 5:36 p.m. right now. Mark it down. I'm taking the field. Georgia will not win the national championship. Paulie.
Michigan gets win number 1,000. They notched win 1,000. And they triumphed for the second time without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline. They needed 2 safeties and a Talia Tagovailoa fumble in the end zone to do it, but they took advantage of some breaks. They set up the big showdown next week, Michigan and Ohio State.
But the idiot Michigan fans that were in attendance running out onto the field to celebrate the 1,000th win.
Storming the opposing team's field is a...
I don't know that I care about... I assume I'll be alive. I hope I'm alive to see LSU get to 1,000 wins in their program's history. I don't know that I'm going to care. It'll probably be like, oh, that's good. That's nice. All right, my turn. I'm really pissed at Florida. They had a chance to beat Missouri. It's a bit of a long shot, but had Missouri lost, I don't think Missouri's losing to Arkansas this week. We could hope. But had Missouri lost, that would have been their 3rd loss, which would have tied it with LSU, presuming LSU beats Texas A&M. Would have left open the possibility of LSU sneaking into a New Year's Six the way they did in 2018 with the Fiesta Bowl. We all assume that Georgia, Bama will be there. Ole Miss will certainly be in a New Year's Six. If they beat Mississippi State, they'll be 10-2. But there's an outside shot that LSU could have gotten there with a Missouri loss. Hard to imagine that now, unless if Arkansas can do us a favor. So, ReliQuest Bowl! Yay.
I think, if you would have asked people for a coach that is most likely gone before the season, Neil Brown would have been a pretty popular answer at West Virginia. I think he saved his job, though. West Virginia's preseason win total was 4.5. They're at 7 right now and likely going to get to 8. Their final game of the year is Baylor, who's not good. Now, there's not a marquee win on there for Neil Brown, but you double up your preseason expected win total, kind of makes it difficult to be shown the door.
all those protesters trying to get James Madison into the New Year's Six Bowl and bowl eligible.
Idiots.
Yeah, that can stop. They lost. They lost to Appalachian State over the weekend, 26-23 in overtime. The Mountaineers led throughout. James Madison scored 57 seconds to go, bring it to overtime, and then App State answered with a touchdown for the win. James Madison falls to 10-1 on the season, first loss in more than a calendar year.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch, you dopes.
I mean,
You're not going anywhere.
They should still be bowl eligible. They've won 10 games, but
don't care.
Anyway, I mean,
I don't care. Change the rule.
They should. The rule.
We're complaining about the NCAA. Change the rule. It's such low-hanging fruit. Yeah, the NCAA sucks, but they're a convenient punching bag on this stuff. It's the rule. They're enforcing the rule. You don't like it? Change the rule. Idiots. Iowa won the Big Ten West. They beat Illinois 15-13. By the way, they didn't cover the 3, so bleep Iowa. So really looking forward to watching Michigan or Ohio State playing a 14-8 Big Ten championship game in a couple of weeks. I'm sure that'll be riveting. Congratulations. Really special moment with Kirk Ferentz and his son, who can't score points, hugging because they're going to the Big Ten championship game because the Big Ten West sucks. Can't wait for the Big Ten West to be dissolved. What a waste of time. Anyway, go ahead. I'm in a mood now.
Speaking of the Big Ten
Paulie
West.
got me in a mood now thinking about James Madison. God, I hate little boy football. So stupid.
Speaking of the
Just
Big
be
Ten
what
West.
you are. Just be what you are.
It is home to one of the best coaching jobs of the season, and that's Northwestern being bowl eligible. The situation that David Braun took over with all the hazing allegations and whatnot, man, that is incredible. That could have gone so far south in Evanston, and instead they're going bowling, beating Purdue 23-15. He's got the job full-time. We'll see how that plays out in the long run, but hats off to the man for this year. An impossible situation, and he's got that team going to a bowl game.
Is Caleb Williams still going to be the #1 overall pick?
Yes. Is that it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, USC lost to UCLA. USC is 7-5. They haven't looked as good as his Heisman win last year. I'm interested to see if he falls down a little bit with the other quarterbacks on the rise.
No, he's still going to be the #1 pick. Like, he's going to paint FU on his fingernails and all that stuff, and he's going to be the #1 pick. Well, now I just want to take a shot at little boy football. So the 4 little brothers that came into the crappy Big 12, you know how they did this weekend?
I do.
How did BYU do against Oklahoma?
They lost.
Lost 31-24. How did Houston do at home against Oklahoma State?
They lost
43-30. How did Cincinnati do against West Virginia?
They lost.
Got doubled up 42-21. How did UCF and Gus Malzahn do against Texas Tech?
They lost.
At least they kept it close, 24-23. So if you're scoring at home, BYU 2-6 in the conference. Houston 2-6 in the conference. UCF 2-6 in the conference. And Cincinnati 1-7 in the Big 12. Hey, idiots who yell every year about the group of 5 deserving to have a spot in the New Year's Six or the playoff. No, you don't. You play a G5 schedule. Could you one day on one, get rid of the music. Could you one day on one Saturday rise up and play your best and catch somebody napping or beat somebody? Yeah. Can you do it week in and week out? Hell no, you can't. We just had Cincinnati a couple years ago screaming about being in the playoff. UCF claimed they were the damn national championship because they beat a whole bunch of little brothers. Just because you're the tallest short kid don't mean you're a giant. It means you're a tall short kid. And that's what you are, group of 5. Go be you. Freaking watching all these dopey teams in the Big 12. The Big 12 sucks. Who's the best team in the Big 12? Maybe Texas? Big 12 sucks. And Cincinnati's 1-7. All the other ones are 2-5. 2-6, excuse me. If ever there was a crystal clear confirmation of the thing I yell about all the time about the group of 5, it's this. What would it look like if the group of 5 had to play a Power 5 schedule? You're looking at it right now in the Big 12. Sheesh. I'm not saying cancel your football programs. I'm not saying stop playing. I'm just saying Stop pretending like you belong at the Power 5 level. Because you don't. And all the little brothers right now are figuring it out. Now, give them a decade like Utah to recruit at that level. Could you get there? Yeah. You can be respectable. Even good. Utah's good. Good. They'll never win a national championship, but they're good. You can be respectable. Freaking group of 5. I wish LSU could go play an American Athletic Conference schedule. What do you think Jaden Daniels' numbers would look like this year if you're rolling out there against Navy in East Carolina? Please, let's line that up. What happened to me? What happened today? Something happened. Maybe when you screwed up the Aaron Nola thing and Tigers in the pros. We had a screw up with the disclaimer. Someone texted me and said podcasts aren't publishing today. And I got all that in my mind. And then Paulie started talking about James Madison. And then I got triggered by the G5 thing. What a weird turn.
Well, the G5 is the easiest way to trigger you. I mean, it happened on pregame.
It's on the short list.
Yeah.
It's on the short list. Yeah. Like, where's the counter argument? Give me the counter argument.
I don't have a counter argument. They're not good.
It doesn't exist. Take those 4 teams, put them back in the American, and how are they this year? They're not 1-7 in the conference.
No.
Because you're playing a completely different game. How rational humans who watch college football can't understand and acknowledge that blows my mind. Like, respected people. Like, I love Deli. Deli's great. Great friend of mine. Respected. Like, he goes to bat for the little guy. Why? Go play for your little guy championship. Why you got to try to pretend to be? Why you got to take a spot from someone that's deserving? The best argument always is, what if LSU got to go play an American Athletic Conference schedule this year? Remember that year, what was it, Western Michigan, when PJ Fleck had Western Michigan in the New Year's Six? And they got blown out by Wisconsin. What league is Western Michigan in? Are they in the WAC? I don't know.
It's MAC.
The MAC?
It's the MAC.
The Big Sky?
Maction.
Great, MAC. The MAC. Let LSU go play a MAC schedule. Let's play old Yellow Teeth. See how would Jaden Daniels do against the MAC this year? How would that look?
Probably not much dissimilar than it's already looked, just a little bit more. I mean, he's been pretty awesome anyway, but yeah.
Hey, won the MAC. Let's go to the New Year's Six. Bleep you. Taking away spots from teams that actually deserve it. All right, I got to break. Otter Locks is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dining, carry-out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. It's at Pluckers, where tonight and every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pay one low price, eat as many wings as you want all night long at Pluckers, both locations. So you want to watch the Eagles, and that's great, man, but who are the chefs? Tonight, get on by Pluckers, because there's no better place to watch it. Spectacular high definition, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and award-winning jumbo chicken wings. Pluckers has been voted a top 5 wing restaurant in America by USA Today, top 10 sports bar in America by ESPN. Where is my brain right now? I don't know. You know where it is? I'm now hungry, and I'm starting to think about Gold Rush and Spicy Ranch and Garlic Parm and Buffalo Medium and all the favorite wing sauces. You can eat all of them, as many as you want tonight for one low price. It's all you can eat wings tonight and every Monday at Pluckers. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight, as if there's any doubt. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and of an incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Otter. How are you?
What's up, man? What's going on, buddy?
Man, good day. I got a little triggered there at the end of the show, talking about the G5 schools, and I don't know, it's weird, which triggers me sometimes. So I'm looking forward to going home, watching a little football, hopefully winning a little money.
What happened with the G5 schools?
Well, we do a college football takeaway thing, and Paul mentioned James Madison, and I just went off on him because I hate Group of 5 football.
I got you.
Let me rephrase. I don't hate Group of 5 football. I love all football, and I wish all of them very well. What I hate is an entitled point of view that Group of 5 teams have that they deserve representation in the New Year's Six or playoff. When you look at the Big 12 this year, and the 4 little brothers that stepped up in competition are all getting their ass beat down every week. That's what happens when you're a G5 and you have to play a Power 5 every week, even a crappy Power 5 league like the Big 12.
Well,
you had that.
Tulane USC Cotton Bowl, pretty good last year.
A one-off, Jimmy. It can happen in a one-off. Of course, we see it a lot. But week in and week out over the course of a 12-game season, and you have to play 8 or 9 league games against the Power 5, it's not going to go your way because you don't have a Power 5 roster.
Well, who's making that argument?
Everybody all the time. It's why they have an auto bid. We're going to have a 12-team playoff and have some jackleg little brother school taking a spot from someone who deserves it.
All right, let's get to the game tonight.
You asked! I was ready to get to bed, and then you triggered me again. You know this
there
about
you
me.
Go. It's blame Tate. William Tate, the university president. Just blame him. They make the rules. So,
I'm good with
anyway,
it. All right.
The Kansas City and Philadelphia, man, a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Remember how it was like slick as ice in Arizona for that. A lot of people thought it favored the offense and definitely kind of settled down Philadelphia's rush, which was so productive. way out in front of everybody else. They could not get to Mahomes at all. And Kansas City really couldn't stop Philadelphia as well. But a little bit of recency bias with that. A lot of the tickets are on the over that because it's been hitting so much. The under's been hit. The over from last year's Super Bowl. I'm going with the under. It's Randy McKay's pick as well. Randy's done pretty well this season. He split out yesterday. And also Brady Cannon has weighed in on it. It's one of his picks this week on our podcast also. So I'm going to follow suit with them and go with the under tonight in the game. I do like Kansas City a little bit, but I like the under a lot more.
All right, Otter. Good weekend overall.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if there's any props or anything tonight, and we're just focusing on the NFL game. We'll get college tomorrow. Anything you look ahead to as you start to look to championship or rivalry weekend? Like anything, any value
Absolutely.
making plays earlier in the week?
Well, I'm not one of those guys that makes plays early in the week. They're looking for value. Although, my goodness, there were 4 NFL games this week. We talked with
1 minute
this
remaining.
afternoon with Carl Johnson of Barrabage. Their numbers alone, I mean, depending on where you bet it, you could have both sides won. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Rams, Seattle, San Francisco and Tampa Bay, and there was one other one. So, it's just something I don't do a whole lot. I'll actually fade the line movements, thinking I'd get a little bit of value. I mean, there was a bunch. 10-14, Miami went to this week in the NFL. 10-13.5, San Francisco. That's a big line movement in the NFL this deep in the season.
He is Jimmy out. Otter, where are you tomorrow?
Where Dozy plays.
Awesome.
Jaden Daniels, favored in 4 of the 5 major mobile sites now for the Heisman.
How about it, man? All right, Otter, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, man.
All right, have a great night. I'm going to go home and take a deep breath, maybe have a whiskey or something like that, and stop thinking about Group of 5 football. Muse, Paulie, thanks. See you tomorrow.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, reminded about Traction, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Pretty cool. Congrats to all the Traction, the FNA Cotton flag football teams. Traction had their FNA championship, so congrats to all the little guys and little gals who competed and won and did really great. They all got their championship rings, which is really cool. Of course, FNA is Drew Brees' flag football league. And so shout out to the kindergarten division, the Trojans, the first grade Panthers, the second grade Wolverines, the third grade Tigers, the fourth grade Seminoles, the fifth grade Horned Frogs, the seventh and eighth grade Tigers. Congrats to all the young kiddos who go out there, compete, and work really hard. Of course, to all the coaches as well. It's at Traction. Look, Traction's an awesome spot for individual sports-specific training, for youth leagues like flag football, baseball, softball, and, of course, holiday camps. They got you covered at Traction. Right there in Burbank and Baton Rouge and online at TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lock in the low rate of 3.99% on a Toyota Highlander. That's right, 3.99%. Lock in your low rate while you still can. At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office.